Hello. How are we doing? Good morning. Good morning. Oh man. Oh man, we're back. Oh, we are back. Dream big, stream big. I'll turn it down. How are we doing? 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 Good to be here. Good to be here. Welcome back to the broadcast. The broadcast. I don't know what this song is, to be honest. It's called Llama Guard by Viria. It's royalty free. Good to be here. Good to be here. Let me cut the music. Guys, this is it, right? This is it. This is the last stream of the year. This is the last stream of the year. We had to squeeze it in. And we made it happen. It's good to be here. We have a lot of fun things planned today. This is the broadcast. This is December 31st, 2025. Boy, what a way to end it. I know, right? What a way to end it. Funny enough, I just put out my best movies of the year video like an hour ago. I did not mean to have this lined up like this, even though it's been on the calendar like this for a while. I never put it together that this would happen. I also, the elephant in the room, we are here a bit early. I will get to the super chat in a second. We're here a bit early, right? Usually stream a few hours from now. There's probably a few people that are a little mad because they either don't know that this is happening or they were planning on watching the movie before the stream today. But we're here because I got plans later, so I got to stream now. Anyway, I'm a little rusty. It's been a while. As many of you know, we took the week off to celebrate Christmas and whatnot. So I'm a little out of practice here. My throat should be fine. Many of you picked up on the fact that in my Avatar and Marty Supreme video, I didn't sound like myself. I still don't sound like myself, even though it's been normal for a little bit now. I apologize if I'm going to be like clearing my throat a bit. I'm going to try not to do that. But that is because I got sick, obviously. But anyway, let me get to these super chats before I go any further. Elizabeth, thank you for the super chat. Rank all 3 Avatar movies. It goes 2, 3, 1. Seems like a pretty agreeable rank. If I do say so myself. Wiley, thank you for the super chat. Hi, Cars. Thanks for making that Color of Money videos. Best movie of all time for me. Happy New Year. Wiley, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for the continued support. Good to see you here. And thank you for watching that video. And I'm glad that you enjoyed it because I worked my ass off on it. I'm going to move the chat like up here so that it's more like a line, you know? Oh, man. But yeah, we are one being the worst. Yes. One's not bad. None of them are bad movies. But that's like kind of, that. It's the worst one of the 3. Oh, man. Good to be back, man. Good to be back. I got a few things for Christmas. I'm showing off my new sweater. Longtime viewers will know it is Abercrombie and Fitch. Of course it is, because I'm a big Abercrombie and Fitch shooter. Blue Moon is so underrated. You keep talking about Blue Moon in the chat. I love Blue Moon. It made it into my end of the year video. I believe it was 11th. It actually, funny enough, it was in the top 10. I wrote a little blurb for it because I was planning on talking about it in the top 10. And then I just did some more thinking and realized that I think it was just an accident. It was like a slightly better film, so I put that above it. But I love Blue Moon. I think it's fantastic. It's one of Richard Linklater's best movies in a long time. It's one of Ethan Hawke's best performances of all time. Andrew Scott's also incredible in it. I find it really heartbreaking, but also really funny and like very entertaining for what it is. You know, I went in a bit nervous because I was like, I don't know if I'm in for this like conversation in a room movie right now, but it's just it's so compelling all the way through. I mean, and that's thanks to both Linklater and Ethan Hawke, who are both just at the top of their game. I really liked it. And I found that one scene kind of near the back half to break my heart a bit. I'm leaving to watch that vid. I hope you enjoy the video. But yeah, Happy New Year. I hope everyone had a good year. I mean, we don't have to get into it. This was kind of a bad year, I would say. I would say. I'm personally very happy that this year is over. I was talking to my sister about it, and I forget what the animals were, but she said this, based on like what this was the year of, she said it was supposed to be a hard one. She's like, this was kind of an all-around tough one for everyone. And next year, the vibes are supposed to be great. And I'm going into next year with good vibes. I have a good feeling about it. There's like something in my bones that's telling me next year's going to be great. And so I'm looking forward to that. I'm not going to call it bullshit because like I went into this year being like, I'm not sure about this one. Like I was not particularly excited for 2025. And then it started off with David Lynch dying. And I was like, well, this is going to be the worst year of all time. But we made it through, man. We made it through. We're here. We're still streaming. We're still having fun. It's a 3-star year for me. It really, like, if we were to rate the year, 3 stars is incredibly accurate. Yes. Elizabeth, thank you for the super chat. Oscar predictions. I mean, we can like briefly go over it today. I don't have a ton of huge updates other than I think I'm moving Timmy up. I'm starting to think Timmy might have a better chance than we are realizing. I think now that Marty Supreme is out, it's also funny. No one's talking about the fact that he shut up after Marty. Like, he did his work, and now that Marty Supreme's out, we have not heard from him at all. Like, he's gone silent and is letting the work speak for it. And, I got to respect that. I think, like, now that people are seeing it, it's starting to overshadow what people thought was an obnoxious press run. And so I'm starting to think that he might actually get it, man. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of support for that performance. And I don't know. It's kind of creeping up on my own personal rankings. I mean, I kind of wanted to see Ethan Hawke win, and I would still love to see Ethan Hawke win. But realistically speaking, it seems a little bit more like it's in Timmy. RJM Production, thank you for the $5. What do you think of my top 5? Mickey 17, Marty Supreme, The Ugly Stepsister, which I haven't seen, Warfare, and One Battle After Another. That's a respectable top 5. I can kind of get a sense of what kind of film fan you are from that. I know some of you want me to say something bad about Warfare, but I'm not gonna, because I think like that's a valid top 5 right there. Warfare is one that's really grown on me, honestly. It's kind of crazy the amount that 28 years later did for Alex Garland. I'm really he made one good screenplay, and now I'm kind of like, maybe maybe we're not giving this guy enough credit. Because Civil War's been growing on me as well. Like, I've been thinking more about Civil War, and I'm like, I think that was a little overhated. What do you mean Warfare and House of Dynamite were rides? What does that mean? In my mind, it might not be like this in the actual list, but in my head, Warfare's a better film than House of Dynamite. Alex Garland has a few hitters. He absolutely does. My roommate was watching Annihilation like a month ago, and I walked in and just watched like a bit of it, and I was like, this shit goes hard. Like, he was really locked in when he made this one. Finally, someone put some respect on Surratt. Thank you, man. Hey, all year I've been like, people have been talking about Surratt. Don't get me wrong. People have been like, it's crazy and this is an insane movie. Some people, I was really shocked after I saw it when I went on Letterboxd, and like the top 5 reviews were all like half stars. I mean, but like reading them, I was like, okay, I understand. Like, I see where you're coming from. All stuff that I was like not really thinking about during the movie. There really is something to say about it. And I kind of briefly touch on that in my video, that like there's a certain self-awareness that the film may not have, that it chooses not to really address, about like where the film is shot and where all of this is taking place. But I think it's like more aware of that than people are giving it credit for. I think it's like it's kind of critiquing its characters a bit more. Like it's ridiculous what they're doing, and the film knows that. But yeah, that movie is I love movies, and maybe this is like a shallow way of looking at it, but when there's a movie where I get excited about showing it to someone, where like a lot of the appeal is getting to watch it with someone who's never seen it and like seeing their reaction. That's like, I don't know, that's a huge plus for me. That says a lot about the film. That kind of stuff makes me excited. Happy New Year, brother. Happy New Year to you too. I heard someone said, what are your New Year's plans? I'm going into the woods with my girlfriend, and it's going to storm the entire time, so that's going to be great. My grandma got traumatized by Surratt. Well, why is she watching that? She should not be watching that movie. There's a chance it gets Best Picture. A nom, not the win, but there's a chance it sneaks into Best Picture, which would be insane. Album of the year is Getting Killed by Geese. I recorded a best albums of the year video 3 times because the first time I didn't like what I said. The second time my throat was so bad that like I sounded like there were nails in my mouth. And then the third time I was just like, I don't even know if I'm going to put this out. It would be released on the second channel if I ever put it out. But yeah, that's my album of the year. I have a bunch of lists. I ended up getting sick and ended up having like a bad voice on the week where I had to record like 1 million list videos for this channel. And so that kind of screwed me. But those are going to come in January. Clips is up there as well. Andrew, thank you for the super chat. Kind of basic, but my top 5 would be Caught Stealing, 28 Years Later, Sinners, One Battle After Another, Marty Supreme. That's also incredibly valid. I guess you're right, maybe a little basic, but I wouldn't say Caught Stealing in the top 5 is basic. Or 28 Years Later, apparently, because some people are fucking hate that movie, but I respect the Caught Stealing top 5 placement. That's bold. That was one similar to Roofman where I was like, I wish I had, room for this, but I just didn't. I was like, I wish I could put this in the honorable mentions, but it's not that good for me. But do you make music? I don't know. I mean, I've made music before. I've been playing around in Logic Pro since I was in high school. It's all bad. It's all bad. It's a thing. It's a hobby that will never see the light of day. Weapons movie of the year. There's a case to be made for that, but I think in the when you look at the year that Warner Brothers had, I don't know if Weapons is the best of even that group. Personally, it's a good movie though. I have not expected Superman in your top 10. That's crazy. I really threw people for a loop there. That was quite the shocker, wasn't it? Stand By Me was the best Rob Reiner film we could have seen post his passing. Such a strong coming-of-age film. Also very bittersweet to see River Phoenix. Yeah, if you guys didn't know, this week's movie for the broadcast was Stand By Me, directed by Rob Reiner. This was my first time seeing it. We'll get into it later. We're not going to get into it just yet. But, yeah, really kind of hard to describe what watching that movie this week felt like. I mean, it was a very special, eerie, heartbreaking watch. I mean, yeah, I'm really glad that we voted on that, to be honest, because as much as I would have loved to revisit When Harry Met Sally, Princess Bride, or checked out A Few Good Men, which I've never seen, this felt like an appropriate choice. And we'll get into it in a second. But it was, spoiler alert, I thought it was fantastic. Do you ever see the Josh Safdie narrative formula getting old? I don't even know if there is much of a if what you mean is like the everything kind of toppling. If If what you mean is like an overly ambitious, annoying guy, like setting himself up for a bunch of problems and all of the problems happening at once, I could see it maybe get. I mean, like it gets old in the movies themselves. Like by the like 2 hour mark of Marty Supreme, you're like, let's wrap this up. If I had one, I love Marty Supreme. I rewatched it, 5 out of 5. Thought it was incredible. We'll talk about it in a second. But like that's like, I mean, he switched it up enough in Marty Supreme to where it was not a problem at all. I'm like, if he just keeps, if the world is different enough, if the character's different enough, there's clearly a lot of growth in between Gems and Marty Supreme. I'm like, it didn't really matter to me. I'm like, this is, I was a fan, but who's to say? Maybe it will get old. So far, I'm eating it up. How was Tyler, the Creator? He was good. He's really fun in the movie. I wish there was more of him. Have you seen the Weekend movie? It was truly one of the worst things I've ever seen. I have not yet. I was planning on watching it, and I know I had so many opportunities this year because my roommate, and I'm not going to call him out for this, or I'm not going to say his name out of respect, but he loves that movie. He thinks it's one of the best movies of the year. And, you know, I got to respect. I have not seen it, so I can't really speak on it, but he's always asking me to watch it with him. And I'm always like, I really don't think this is going to be my thing. But like, we'll do it. I don't know. We have to do it eventually. I'm going to watch it eventually. He said it's misunderstood. And I got to hear him out. But I have heard it's one of the worst movies of the year. Oh, your opinion on Stranger Things 5 so far. What are we doing? That's all I got to say for now, is what the hell are we doing? This is a tough watch so far. We got one episode left. This shit better be the best thing in the world, because if this has been such a chore to get through. It hasn't been terrible, don't get me wrong, but I am kind of like, what happened? I nobody has been more checked out than the cast of this film. Like no one wants to be here anymore besides like 3 people. And it's like, I just don't even know what's going on. I'm going to hold out. I'm not going to get too into it because obviously I'll be making a video on it. But I did binge watch all of it basically over Christmas. And, yeah, man, I was bummed. It just made me upset. It's crazy because, like, it's so weird looking back. It's been, like, kind of a slow decline. Like, season 1, we all love it. I had, like, a poster of it in college. Like, that's how much I used to love Stranger. Like, I had the poster in my room. Season 2, I was kind of like, okay, this is to be expected. Like, it got bigger, and this, you know, there's certain compromises that need to be made. Season 3, it turned into like a Netflix show. I don't know how else to describe it. It wasn't bad. I liked season 3. Season 4, pretty good. Season 4 felt like a guilty pleasure for some reason, but like when you look at it, when you break it down, pretty good season of TV. I really enjoyed watching season 4. It had its issues, don't get me wrong, but that was when I was like, I'm in. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Like, as corny as this show can be, as flawed as it can be, when it's on, I'm locked in. Which made me really excited for season 5. I was like, even if, like, I have zero drive to watch this show, because it's been, like, what, 2-3 years? I was like, I know that once I start season 5, I'll be back in it. Because that always happens. And then I started it, and I was like, I feel nothing watching this. I feel absolutely nothing. So, you know, maybe I'll feel something during the finale, but I was talking to a friend, like, the fact that they're doing in theater screenings for this finale is crazy to me, because I'm like, there's a lot of humor in the show that's just not very funny, specifically from what's his face, Brett Gelman. It's like, first of all, why does he get so much screen time? Like, no one likes him. I feel like that's been talked about so much that, like, he's the worst character in the show. And it's like the idea that there's going to be like theaters full of people and he's going to like be delivering jokes to silence is crazy. Like there's going to be jokes that get nothing to giant crowds of people tonight. And that's you could not pay me to go to one of these screenings. I'll be watching, I'll be tuning in, but goddamn, man. There's more to appreciate about it than I'm giving off right now. Like it's not the worst thing in the world. Do not get me wrong. I will go more in depth in my proper review for it. But my general feelings has been incredibly disappointed. Is all I gotta say. Do you play any video games? I play Fortnite. I play GeoGuessr. I play Cine 2 Nerdle. That's about it. I will say, at Christmas, I was playing a lot of GeoGuessr because the last stream was so embarrassing. I did so poorly. I had to get my game up, and we're back. We might play it at the end of the stream today. That's a gamer right there. Exactly. What are your most wanted movies of 2025? That's an interesting way to put that. Most wanted movies. I don't know. I don't know what's to want. Like all of my favorite filmmakers, like I don't think it's on the horizon. Like I'm excited for the new Gregor Araki, of course. Excited for the new Christopher Nolan, of course. When's that like Nathan Fielder, what was it, like bowling? Not bowling, but like he had a feature coming out. I thought that would maybe come out this year. Dune 3, of course. Spielberg, yeah. The drama looks great. What do you think of the Doomsday teasers? Again, like, I don't even know if I feel that strongly about it. I just feel nothing. It was so interesting. A lot of people have been weighing in on this, and I realized I never had a chance to talk about this. But when I went to see Avatar, obviously there was the Doomsday teaser, and it was a packed IMAX screening, like filled to the brim. And obviously, it's like it's so weird. They play the they do the trailers, and then they do the AMC shit, and then they go into the Doomsday thing. It's like you think the movie's gonna start, and then there's like one more teaser, and it's that. And when I tell, like, the groaning I heard was just, there was like such a lack of enthusiasm in the room. Whereas at the end of the Odyssey, they were like clapping and cheering. And I was like, this is crazy. I don't know, man. It just felt sad. It felt kind of grim. Like, I'll see it. It doesn't, like, as far as like how I feel, like what it looks like, it doesn't look like anything. It looks like, it looks very stale. You can't even... There's nothing on screen. There's like no emotion being communicated, and maybe that's just Chris Evans. Like he's just not doing a very good job in just the teaser. But I was like, there's nothing going on here. I want the David Fincher Cliff Booth movie. Yeah, that maybe might happen this year. It should, right? That should happen. I haven't seen the Pluribus finale. Don't ask me. I'm not caught up on that quite yet. You should do the Criterion Challenge in 2026. What does that entail? Bone Temple, of course. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. What was the best comedy of the year? The best straight up comedy might be Friendship. But like, let me double check. I mean, the Globes are calling Marty Supreme a comedy. No. It's probably Friendship. It's probably Friendship. Nirvana was a bit higher for me, but I love Friendship. Nirvana, I'm not counting as 2020. If Nirvana was like a 2025 movie, that would be fighting for the top spot. I loved Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. I don't think it's a 2025 film, though. It's funnier than Friendship, I will say. I would call Weapons a comedy. I don't know if it's funnier than, like, as a comedy, it's not as good as Friendship. Like, Friendship's what I want from a comedy, which is why I put it up there, but I haven't seen One of Them Days. I heard that one was good, too. I missed out on a lot this year, by the way. I tried to do a good job, ended up missing a lot. Never saw Resurrection. I'm going to see it. This is not to say that I'm not going to see these movies, but, like, I never saw Resurrection. I never saw One of Them Days. I never saw what that little animated film, Little Amelie or whatever. Chime? Was Chime 2025? When's the next members only? Next week. I promise. I completely logged off because of Christmas, and then I got fucked because I got sick. But I promise that members only video will be dropping next week. I apologize for the absurd wait on that one. December was it was kicking my ass, to say the least. I haven't seen Chainsaw Man. When are you going to watch Happy Gilmore 2 and Electric State double feature? I think that ship has sailed. I think we're just never going to get around to those films. Will members only ever be public? Yes, I brought this up last stream, I think, that I was considering making members only videos like public after a little bit, because some of them are videos where I'm like, that's a worthy video to put out to the world. So I think I'm going to do that if we all feel good about that. Plans to see Twinless. Yes, I heard Twinless was great as well. That was actually one of the bigger blind spots, because I obviously look at what makes a lot of other people's end of the year lists, and that was one of them. Adam Sandler Marathon for 2026. Did you see what that did to Shea Frillis? That looked horrible. I've also been like watching him log Adam Sandler movies for what feels like 2 years now. It's probably not been that long, but it feels like it's been going on forever. So there's no chance. I'm doing something for not even for a video, but just for personal fulfillment. I'm trying to watch every Paul Newman movie, which is much more, it's a much better use of my time, is what I'm realizing. I went on a bit of a tear the last few days. I got halfway through Slapshot. It was incredible. An incredible movie. A deeply offensive at times movie, but really, really good. Thoughts on Nouvelle Vague? I'm a big Godard fan. I liked it. I liked Nouvelle Vague. It was a lot better than I thought it would be. I was kind of expecting it to be a little gimmicky and like, what's the point of this? And I am still kind of like, well, why did we do this? But I don't know. I left inspired, which is, I think, a big part of the appeal. I thought it was just a blast. Like, it was very funny. It kind of sold me, you know? I kind of fell for it. And then everyone was like, well, Blue Moon clears. And I was like, there's no way. And then I watched Blue Moon, and I was like, that was one of the best movies of the year. What did you get for Christmas? Well, I got this sweater. So and it's very cozy. Can we post our year watched lists on the Discord? Go ahead. Is there a channel? Are you asking for a channel for that? Or you can just go crazy. You can post whatever you want in there. Who should direct a Fortnite movie? It's a good question. You know, after seeing what he did with Caught Stealing, I think Darren Aronofsky could make an interesting Fortnite movie. I thought Alex Garland. Alex Garland was actually my first thought, but it would be too self-serious. I think Darren Aronofsky would make a genuinely fun and riveting Fortnite movie. Before we get to, okay, so by the way, the on the agenda for today, before we get too far, we will be doing a tier list of all 2025 movies that I watched. It's all the ones that I watched. It's kind of, I was like thinking about it, and I'm like, it's kind of pointless because you kind of just, they're already categorized by star rating. Like, that's the 5 stars will obviously be in the top, and then 4.5, and then 4. Like, it's, but I'm like, who cares? It'll be fun. And some of them, it's like, it's a little wishy-washy, especially in the middle. So we'll be doing that in a second. It might take a while, so we should probably get into it sooner rather than later. On top of that, we'll also be talking about Stand By Me later today, and then we might be playing Cine 2 Nerdle or GeoGuessr. I haven't decided yet. Before we get into that, though, I did want to recap. I talked a little bit about Marty Supreme, but I don't think I've really gotten into it. I rewatched it over Christmas, and I wanted to share this one specifically because I thought it was fascinating and crazy. But I went to see Marty Supreme with my parents. It was like pulling teeth trying to get them to see this movie. I was like, it took me like 3 days of convincing. I was like, well, we should really, like, you know, for old time's sake, go to the movies. Because my parents don't really like, we don't really do that anymore. We used to do it a lot growing up, but it's like really hard to get them out, especially during the holidays. But I was like, we should really go see this movie. I think you would like it. And then every time I would bring that up, my sister would be like, well, it's the same guy that did Uncut Gems, and we all remember how that went. And then my mom would be like, ugh. And I'm like, no, hear me out. Eventually, I got them to do it. We went to see Marty Supreme. We sit through 35 minutes of trailers and TV commercials, which was just horrible. I wanted to die that entire time. But then the movie starts. I can't really tell how they're feeling about it. It's like silent. My mom's like checking her watch. I'm like, this is a disaster, but at least I get to rewatch Marty Supreme. First of all, they like sitting up in the front, by the way. We were 3 rows from the front and to the side. So it was like probably the worst angle you could watch a movie at, but I won't get into it. The point is they're not saying anything. They're not laughing at anything. My mom's checking her watch. Movie ends, and my mom says, I don't know the last time I saw a movie that good. And she's obsessed with it now. She couldn't stop talking about it for like 3 days straight. She said the word cinema for the first time ever on the way home. She was like, in her own words, one battle was good, but that was cinema. And I'm like, I've never heard you talk like this before, which is crazy. I was amazed. And so it was a big win at the end of the day. It was a huge win. She started looking up stuff. Okay, this is the crazy part. She starts, a crazy series of events happen. First of all, she liked the movie. And then on the way home, she's like looking it up. She Googles Marty Supreme, and then she scrolls down. And in the what people are saying section, it's my video. And so she's freaking out about that. She's like, you're on the front page. And I'm like, that is crazy. And then she starts like reading off like who's next to me. And she's like, you're right next to Penguin Zero. And hearing my mom talk about Moist Critical on the way home from Marty Supreme, it was a surreal experience. I was also like, it was just, yeah. She's like, whoever Penguin Zero is, you're right next to him. I'm like, yep, yes. We are. We're right next to each other. And then she kept going further. It was crazy. I was like, you are reading names that I never... She was like, and then there's David Sims from The Atlantic. I'm like, you are not supposed to know who these people are. This is like... this is not... We're going too far. But it was very funny. But yeah, she's hooked, man. She's hooked. She felt the Safdie touch. Also, like, she knew, I reminded her so many times before we saw it. I was like, so it's the guy that did Uncut Gems. And then the movie ended, and she's like, so who did that? And I was like, so it was Josh Safdie who did Uncut Gems. And she's like, there's no way. And I'm like, do you remember Uncut Gems? They're like the same movie. She's like, that was nothing like Uncut Gems. It was, oh man, it was so good. I couldn't tell how my dad felt. He was kind of stunned. He made me put on the trailer when we got home, though. He was like, can I just watch the trailer? And I was like, yeah, you got the itch. You got the itch. On a separate note, the night before, I showed them Jay Kelly, which I was like, that's a pretty safe parents movie. Like, that's a safe bet. They're probably going to, at the very least, like, be entertained. Like, all parents love George Clooney, I feel like. And we put that on. And that's like the complete opposite experience. They're like laughing the whole time. They're having a great time. And then it ends and my mom was like, I don't really think they needed to make that movie. And I was like, wow, that's like kind of the consensus, I feel like. But my dad, on the other hand, after Jay Kelly goes, oh my man, we end Jay Kelly and he goes, that was the smartest movie of the year. Which is like, I don't know why that was like the funniest thing in the world to me, that my dad was like, that was the smartest movie of the year. And he's seen all of them. He watches all the movies. But Jay Kelly, he was like, they're saying things in that movie that like most people wouldn't pick up on. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You're talking like you're George Clooney. Like what's that even mean? You tell me, man. He's a mysterious man. Anyway, so that was that experience. It was a very it was an interesting one. I tried to like show, I was like trying to think of what to pitch them. I didn't think they would fuck with Train Dreams. So we went with Jay Kelly and Marty Supreme. And it was a success, I would say. I would say it was a success. What should my last film of the year be? The Apartment is always a good option. It really is. It's always a good option. Carson, I'm one movie away from 100 this year. What should I watch? 100th movie. And you need something quick. A crazy 100th movie would be Baraka. Baraka. And you'll see what I mean when you watch it. Why didn't you put F1 on the list? It just didn't make the list. I mean, there's a lot of movies I wish were on there. Can I just say, it was a painful list to put together. I snubbed so many movies that I was like shocked didn't even crack the top 25 or the honorable mentions. I was like, Begonia, not on there. F1, not on there. Roofman. I was pulling for Roofman. Is This Thing On? Show them Is This Thing On? Decent parent film. I mean, it's in theaters. I agree. I think they would have probably liked that. There were a lot of movies in theaters that I was like, they'd probably like this, but they're not going to go to the theater. I had to like, Marty Supreme was the one that would bring them out. My mom literally said, she was like, it was one of the first things she said. She was like, well, that's going to save movie theaters. And I was like, I don't think Marty Supreme's going to save movie theaters, but like, I love that energy. Like, let's keep that up. I like that. I like where your head's at, Mom. It's just so unexpected. It was a packed screening. It was very full. Also, this isn't really a spoiler, but like 30 minutes into Marty Supreme, this duo walked in and they sat like right behind us. I couldn't tell how old they were, but I think it was like two men walked in and sat like right behind us 30 minutes in, which is like an hour after the showtime was listed. And they're sitting there, and it just so happens to be the scene where the guy is telling the story about the guy's licking the honey off of his chest. They sit there for that scene, and by the time they start licking the honey, the one guy whispered to the other, I think we're in the wrong theater. And then they walked out. And I wanted to be like, no, this is Marty Supreme. You're right. This is Marty Supreme. They're going to play ping pong in just a second. But I thought that was crazy. Carson watched Get Her Back before the year ends. I'll try, man, but I'm going to be honest with you, that's probably not going to happen. How do you feel about this take? The semifinals in Marty was the least exciting game. The semifinals as in like in the first act. I mean, I don't think it's built to be the most exciting game. It's probably I kind of agree with you, yeah. Compared to the other games in the movie, yeah, for sure. It's what's getting the most coverage. What do you mean? Like discourse or like in the movie or in the trailer? In the trailer, I guess they are giving that one the most coverage. What's your worst movie theater experience? This is crazy because like like press tours, that's true. Yeah. This is crazy, but I think when I went to see Way of Water, I was like infuriated the entire time because there were people like I've gone over this rant before. It was like people in full brightness screens all over the place. Guy like taking Snapchats throughout the entire film. Old people next to me talking the entire time, full volume. It was like I was surrounded on all sides. It was painful. And it's crazy to call an Avatar movie the worst theater experience, but it was like bad. And then like on top of that, the high frame rate, which I was not aware was a thing, was happening. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? What am I at right now? Oh, what else? We already talked about Stranger Things, Marty Supreme. That's kind of it, right? I think we should get into the tier list. I think we should do that sooner rather than later. Because damn, we've already been streaming almost an hour. Let me pull this up. Let's see. Shoot. 1 second. Levi Turner, good to see you. Just pulled up. How are you doing, Carson? Also, is there an update on the Scorsese updated rank? I think I'm going to do it next year. But I haven't thought about it a ton. It's not on the horizon. I have a Coen Brothers rank happening very soon. In January. So be on the lookout for that. But what did you say about Stranger Things? I was saying how it is one of the most disappointing things I've watched in a good while. It's been a true chore to get through. There are redeeming qualities, but for the most part, I've been really just sad about it. Yeah. Okay, I think I'm gonna pull this up. Come on. Thank you for the super chat, Levi. How's the short/feature going? It's going well. The short, there are some updates, but none that I can share. But good updates, I think. I'm not really sure yet, but nothing really to say so far. It's been done, so that's been nice. It's like it's done and like locked up, and I'm not touching it. I'm not watching it. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy with it. I hope you guys get to see it soon. But yeah, it's all done, and we're just waiting on what to do with festivals. Okay. I think this is good. Okay, we're here. This is the tier list for 2025 movies. I was trying to figure out how to name these something more interesting, but I currently have A, B, C, D, leave it in 2025, and then might be a masterpiece. I'm gonna cruise through these kind of, because there are a lot of movies. I forget what the actual like official numbers, but I think it's like 70 something. That is like rookie numbers compared to like other critics. When I see their lists, I'm like, oh my god. But will this be a members only video? No. I mean, you're watching it right now. It's it's out. The video's happening as we speak. Surat, any good? Surat's one of my favorite movies of the year. Yeah. Am I wrong, or I can't see your watches/lists on Letterboxd? I mean, the list isn't public of my 2025 yet. I wait until the video's out, so I honestly will publish it like later today or something. But I'll share a link to the tier list at the end. But anyway, let's get right into this. Wait, D. What should we make D? I forget what I'm gonna say just great. Just great. B, glad this exists. C, something to watch. D for Dracula. D is no, this exists is kind of something to watch. Sauce. I'm gonna say weak sauce. Weak sauce. That seems pretty reasonable. Okay, let's start with It Ends. It Ends. If you didn't know, I haven't talked about it yet because I was planning on talking about it in what I watched this month. But this is one of the new Letterboxd video store movies. Fantastic movie. Fantastic debut feature. If you haven't seen it, I recommend breaking open that feature with this. It's kind of what independent filmmaking is all about. Great concept. Does a lot with a tiny budget, like goes super high concept with it, and in a really clever and smart way. I was very impressed. This is going to be a glad this exists. Just to give you an idea of how picky we're being over here. Surat, just great. I've talked about Surat quite a bit. One of my favorite movie-going experiences of the year. One of the most intense theater-going experiences of the year. Talked about it quite a bit today in the best of the year video, so I won't go on this for too long. But if you haven't seen it, if you don't know anything about Surat by now, I recommend not looking up anything more about it and just going and seeing it. This is such a go-in blind movie, and it might be a terrible experience, it might be an amazing experience, but you're gonna feel something strongly. The Mastermind, honestly, on the edge of masterpiece, but gonna put it in just great. Obviously, I really like The Mastermind. I for a while it was number 2 on the list, by the way. Surat has had a wide release in the US. Has it really? I wasn't even really paying attention to its release. I thought it had like a 1-week run here in LA. But yeah, I really like The Mastermind. It was much higher on the list for a while, and eventually brought it down because I just liked the others a bit more. One Battle is a masterpiece, and we've talked about it so much this year that I don't feel like I need to go into it. Oh, it hasn't. Yeah. I don't think it ever had a wide release. Is it out on digital yet? What's the deal with Surat? When are people going to see the movie? Because I don't know how much to talk. It feels like it never really got the proper conversation I was expecting it to get. History of Sound. The new KJ, thank you for becoming a member. Good to have you here. History of Sound was a bore. It was kind of a bore. I'm not going to say leave it in 2025, but it is weak sauce. I mean, my letterbox review for it, I'm pretty sure was just, this is sauceless. So yeah, not a good time. The Love That Remains. I'm going to put it in glad this exists. It kind of loses steam after a while, but that was also like a really good time. I recommend checking it out if you haven't heard of it. It's the same director as Godland. It looks incredible as expected, but it's got a really great sense of humor, really dark sense of humor. Feels kind of like a collection of vignettes in a way, but very funny. I'd imagine if you like Ari Aster, you'd get a kick out of it. Pillion is just great. Pillion's one that I feel like I talk about it a lot on stream specifically, but it's one that I'm really rooting for. It has not had its official wide release quite yet. I think it comes out in February, around Valentine's Day, which makes sense. It's a rom-com, but it's a BDSM rom-com is how I've been pitching it. You don't really know what you're getting into with this one. It does have all the like comforting rom-com traits, but it's also just a very kind of thorny and strange movie. Yeah, it really interesting Alexander Skarsgård performance. Really loved it. Really interesting movie. Secret Agent, also just great. One that's I knew as expected has been growing on me. Fantastic movie by I never know how to pronounce his name, but the only other film of his I've seen is Bacurau, which I also really loved that year. But talked about this one a bit today in the video. It made the top 10. It is a top 10 movie of the year for sure. Looks amazing, sounds amazing, fantastic Wagner Moore performance. Yeah, love The Secret Agent. Levi, thank you for the super chat. Are you releasing the 2025 list on Letterboxd after? I will be, yes. In later this afternoon. Blue Moon, just great. We're getting a lot of just greats off the bat. I mean, I talked about it on stream today. I really love Blue Moon. It is the best Richard Linklater movie that came out this year, the best Ethan Hawke performance that came out this year. Best Andrew Scott performance, a much better cast Andrew Scott here than in Wake Up Dead Man, although he is very good in Wake Up Dead Man. Pink Baby Zebra, thank you for the membership. Good to have you here. But yeah, incredibly sad movie that feels a lot like the filmmaker and in a way the actor, like reflecting on their lives and careers, and seeing them do it together was both really heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time. It's just an absolute tearjerker. I loved it. Peter Hujar's Day. Glad this exists. Wish I liked it a bit more, but has been growing on me with time the more I've been thinking about it. This is Ira Sachs's new film. It's a big follow-up to Passages. Talked about it a bit in the last What I Watched this month, but it's about Peter Hujar recounting a day in his life to a reporter, filmed like it's from the era that it takes place in. A lot of great, like, I think it's 16 millimeters, 35 millimeter. I can't tell. I'm going to say 16 cinematography. Some of the most beautiful cinematography of the year for sure. And Ben Whishaw, really underrated performance. Wish he was getting a bit more love for it. Exit 8. I'll be honest, man. I might get shit on for this. It's something to watch. I wish I liked it more. It's a great concept, great adaptation of what is a really interesting game that I've never played personally. Some cool cinematography, cool choices. Not really the most gripping horror movie out there, if I'm going to be honest. Not one that was like really that did much for me emotionally or scares wise, but interesting watch. Marty Supreme might be a masterpiece, especially on a rewatch. I was like very hesitant the first time I saw it for some reason. Pink Baby Zebra, thank you for the upgrade. I was very hesitant the first time I saw it because I was like, this feels a little overstuffed and a little like there's too much happening at once, and like he was afraid to cut some of this. On a rewatch, I wouldn't cut like anything from this movie. Everything feels very much like it needs to be there. Like, as bloated as it feels, like it all works very well together and comes together in a really satisfying way by the end. I was able to follow things a little bit better on a rewatch. I think the only, and this isn't even, I don't even actually agree with this, but like from a plot perspective alone, I think the only truly unnecessary scene in this movie is the scene in the park with Gwyneth Paltrow. I like that scene a lot. I think it's really fun, but it feels like just another extra detour in what is an already like really eventful night. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't want it out of the movie. I think it's too good of a scene to take it out. So I don't know. There's nothing I would change about Marty Supreme. I think it's really great. It's crazy that there will come a day when we can just own it and watch it all the time. Like, it feels like such a special movie. Yeah, I think it's a masterpiece. And I'm just trying to get ahead of the game on that one, because it took me a while to recognize Uncut Gems was a masterpiece, and I'm kind of like, well, let's just get it out of the way. House of Dynamite. House of Dynamite, it's not like... I'll be honest. It might be a leave it in 2025. It's aged horrendously. I didn't think it was that bad when I first watched it. I was like, this is very... In fact, the first act, I was kind of riveted. I was like, this is really crazy, and I can't wait to see where this goes. Damn, did it not go anywhere? Literally stopped right in place. Didn't say that much. I think leave it in 20... You're right, it is a bit harsh to say leave it in 2025. I think it just ends on such a note where I'm like, what was this? Like, what was the point of this movie? The craft is great. Acting across the board, very solid. Like, I can't say anything bad about the acting, although I do think, like... I'm not going to blame Idris Elba. I just think they don't really know what to do with his character, which is so weird to say. It's like... It's an important character. He's the president. But I don't know, man. I just the more I've sat with it, the more I've been like, what a disappointment that movie was. Fellas, isn't Cloud a 2024 release? I think it was like a 2024 festival film, but got like its official, and I think it had maybe a limited theatrical release in 2024, but I saw its theatrical run in 2025, and its like streaming premiere was in 2025. I think it's like for the most part a 2025 film, but you're right, it was kind of a big 2024 film as well. Cloud is just great. Again, this should come as no surprise to anyone who's seen the ratings, but there's only 2 true masterpieces on this list. Spoiler alert. If there were any to break in, it would be Cloud or The Mastermind. But I thought Cloud was fantastic. I know it's a bit divisive. I know some people, like Toasty here, think it's weak sauce. I know a lot of people who are disappointed by this movie, but I don't really get how, because it's kind of Kurosawa doing his thing. You could say maybe it's a little expected from him, like it's not really doing anything that Cure or Pulse aren't doing better. But I think like the way he takes his style and adapts it into today's society and the way the internet works now, and like the way he brings the internet into real life. I mean, I talked about this in my video. I think it's really fun and terrifying and not something I've really seen before. It's crazy to me that this is a movie that didn't really exist before this, that I've seen at least. I have been told to check out Red Rooms, and I'm going to try and check out Red Rooms within the next week. I think from what I have heard, it's kind of similar to Cloud, but I cannot confirm that. I've heard amazing things about it, though. It was just an accident. Just great. I mean, the just great category is pretty stacked so far. But yeah, as many of you know, loved It Was Just an Accident. Having caught up on more Panahi, I just watched The White Balloon, and I'm going to watch The Mirror, hopefully before the end of the year, probably not. And then obviously we also watched Taxi. I've just come to really appreciate what he's doing, and It Was Just an Accident. I mean, it feels like a much bigger film, especially for like the newer stuff he's been making. It feels good to see him return to a more traditionally, more straightforward narrative. Although there is obviously a lot that he's drawing from personal experience, but yeah, man, great movie. Train Dreams, I'm glad this exists. And that's the truth. I am glad it exists. Very happy to have seen Train Dreams. I think it's beautiful. I think it's a little overly sentimental at times. Certainly has its flaws, but the more I've been thinking about it, it's also a movie where I think it would have really benefited from being like 2 hours long, as opposed to like, what is this, like 100 minutes? I think it could have, felt a bit bigger at the end of the day, because I think there's a lot to be said about this. I wanted to feel this man's lifespan a bit more, as that is kind of what it's all about. But really good, really beautiful, great performances. Friendship, glad this exists. Again, truthfully, glad it exists. To see a comedy like this in 2025 that is just genuinely full of jokes, and we'll get to another comedy in a second that's very similar, but also has a bit. I remember when I first saw it, I was kind of like, well, this is just a feature-length Tim Robinson sketch, and there's nothing wrong with that, because like that's who doesn't want that. But the more I've been thinking about it, the more I'm like, it has some shit to say about literally male friendship and what it's like to be a man of that age at this time, but it never feels like pretentious or heady about that, which is why it kind of comes off a little unassuming at first. Like you kind of want to write it off just because of what it is, but there's a lot to be said about friendship and what it has to say about, I don't know, the men of today. Father, mother, sister, brother. This one's tough, and it's going to hurt, but I might say something to watch. It's like borderline weak sauce, but it's not. It's not. I love Jim Jarmusch, and it's Jim Jarmusch doing his Jim Jarmusch thing. And there's like the middle sequence with Vicky Krieps, Cate Blanchett. Fantastic. You gave it a pretty low score. What, Father, Mother, Sister, Brother? I did give it a pretty low score. I can't hate on it too much because I like Jim Jarmusch so much, but that last act really is pretty lousy. And the first act has a lot of like questionable moments that just feel awkward and misplaced. But I enjoyed watching it. It was, at the end of the day, something to watch. Nino, just great. One of the big surprises of this year. A tiny indie starring Theodore Pellerin, where he gives the best performance that I've seen him give. He had a good year between this and Lurker, and this is the one that I liked a bit more, just because it gives him a bit more to chew on. It's a very kind of Oslo August 31st vibe, guy kind of reflecting on his life, going around, seeing all his loved ones. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. It's probably it's one, I don't even know if it's gotten any release yet. It might still be on the festival thing, but definitely one to check out and have on your radar. Nouvelle Vague. I'll say it, man. Glad this exists. I'm glad Nouvelle Vague exists. It's like, it's one that I would have expected to be like, this shouldn't exist. Like, why are we doing this? But ultimately, it's a good time. It's a fun time. It's very funny. It's very watchable. It's a great love letter to the French New Wave. Anyone who's like tapped into French New Wave, I've been saying it's like, it kind of treats the French New Wave filmmakers like it's a Marvel movie. The way they just show up, and it's like, I don't know. I find it really fun and lighthearted and kind of harmless at the end of the day. Like, it might not be the best thing in the world, but it is harmless and a good time. Honey Don't. As much as I defend Honey Don't, because I think it's incredibly overhated, especially next to Drive Away Dolls, which I thought was worse than this. I think Honey Don't is better than Drive Away Dolls, and I'll say it. It is undeniably weak sauce. There's no getting around that. It's weak sauce, especially for Ethan Coen. I'm like, this is not who you are. This ain't who you are, man. Is it in the Coen ranked video? I was gonna ask the chat how we feel about this. Because I was considering like putting in the solo Coen films in the ranked, because it would be fun. It's technically in their filmography, but how do we feel about that, including Honey Don't, Tragedy of Macbeth, Drive Away Dolls? Yeah, go for it. All right, there we go. Yeah, it's just like next to everything else they've done, it's kind of shocking how bad it is. It's fun. It's a good time. I had a good time watching it. I laughed a handful of times, but it's really like in one ear, out the other. Is he the Benny of the duo? Listen, I feel like I need to clear some things up. Also, Procrastinator, thank you for being a member for 3 months. Hey man, notice you haven't yet put together in the top tier. Fix that right now. I haven't seen Together yet. I have the screener. I'm gonna watch it soon, but I haven't seen Together yet. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to imply that I was hating on Benny too much in that Marty Supreme video. I kind of didn't do a great job communicating that at the top of the video. For the record, I'm in agreement with a lot of people in that I don't think we should be pitting them against each other. It is undeniably fun though to compare brothers. Like, come on. But I think I have this take where I'm like, obviously Marty Supreme is like a much stronger film. It's so much better than the Smashing Machine, and it like lights a fire under you. I do think the Smashing Machine is like artistically more interesting, like to see him go in this direction compared to what he's been making. It feels in line with The Curse stylistically, but obviously like is vastly different from Uncut Gems. Though I do think like a lot of his interests are still there, especially in performance and in themes regarding addiction and whatnot. And like self-destructive behavior. It's all there. It's just in a different flavor, and it doesn't work as well. It does not make for the most riveting movie. I think what like they kind of balance each other out. You can tell where I think Good Time is where they really meet in the middle the most. Because Uncut Gems feels way more like a Josh movie, but Good Time feels like it blends Benny's interests in like human behavior and Josh's interest in like chaos. But yeah, man, I thought there's a lot to love about the Smashing Machine, so I feel the need to defend Benny a bit. I'm very curious about what Benny does next, because they have that one, I forget what it's called. He's doing another one with Dwayne, so I'm interested to see where that goes. Dead Man's Wire, new Gus Van Sant movie, kind of technically a 2026 film. As well as Alpha. This and Alpha should not be here, but they are. Dead Man's Wire, though, I'm glad it exists. It's a good time. I'm excited for people to see it. I'm assuming many of you haven't seen it, so I'm not going to touch on it too much. But it's a great kind of true crime movie with a great Bill Skarsgård performance. Even better, what's his name? Dacre Montgomery performance. Really well directed, looks nice. I enjoyed it. It was a very good, watchable time. Let's see. Highest to lowest. Highest to lowest is something to watch. I know many of you are going to want to put it in weak sauce. I think Highest to Lowest is the most overhated movie of the year. I think it's been hated on way too much. I agree. First act sucks. The second and third act are fantastic. I love watching Denzel and A$AP Rocky together on screen. There's so much chemistry there, and they bounce off each other really well. I think when like Spike gets comfortable behind the camera in the second act, in some of the chase scenes, I think it really flies. I think it has a lot of really exciting energy behind it. I think it's an interesting movie for Spike to make at this point in his career. It's drifting into like late style, tendencies. That might be a stretch. But like, I think there's a lot to enjoy about Highest to Lowest, man. I think it's incredibly overhated just for having a pretty rough start. But once it gets going, it feels like it's very comfortable doing what it's doing. Like it feels really in its own lane. And I don't know, it's a hard one to pinpoint. It's a hard one to like categorize. But that's like what makes Spike's movies so good, is that he has such a unique vision, such a unique way of making movies that, I don't know, you see come alive in Highest to Lowest. The Phoenician Scheme. Glad this exists. Obviously, I treasure every Wes Anderson movie. I think he's one of our best, and I've really kind of undersold this when I first saw it, which I'll own up to. I didn't think it was that good when I first saw it. I was kind of like, well, I thought it was no better or no more, not any more noteworthy than like his shorts that he put out 2 years ago. But on a rewatch, really came to appreciate this within the context of the rest of what he's been doing in the recent years, like Asteroid City and French Dispatch. I think it's really interesting. Stylistically, he's obviously just at the top of his game right now. And yeah, when you look at it next to everything else that came out this year, and it's like, he's still making some of the best looking movies out there. So yeah, really love the Phoenician Scheme. The Monkey. Now, if you thought House of Dynamite has aged like milk, I do not I do not look at The Monkey like it's a great movie. I might say leave it in 2025. Feels like it was fun. I enjoyed watching it, but ultimately kind of a dumb movie. Kind of like, I'm really not a fan. I appreciate where Osgood Perkins is coming from with this. Like when you read up on his history, what happened with his parents, his history with death and grief, it's like the man has some shit to work through. I think what he does in The Monkey is pretty cheap and forgettable and very like, I don't know. It's not the way to go about it, in my opinion. It just feels like it's kind of like laughing through the pain, but not in a way that like really, it's like, it feels avoidant. I don't know. It just doesn't really, the stupidity is part of why it's a blast. And that's true. You know, it's like I have nothing wrong with good fun times, you know, but there's something about this movie that's just in my head. I'm like, I'll never rewatch it. It felt like a bit of a waste of time. The Monkey is the best movie of the decade. Maybe I'm just wrong, man. Maybe I'm just wrong. The Testament of Ann Lee. Glad this exists. Crazy movie. Movie that not enough people are talking about. I really thought it would make a bigger splash because it's out. Am I wrong? Is Testament of Ann Lee out? Because it's a crazy movie. Amazing Amanda Seyfried performance. Beautiful cinematography throughout. Very obviously shares a lot with The Brutalist, both in its look and in its themes. It wasn't really like, it didn't hit it out of the park for me personally the way I wanted it to. It's not wide yet. Okay, good to know. I thought it was a Christmas release. I think tonally, it jumps all over the place in a way that I don't know, slipped out of my fingers a bit when I saw it, but it's one that I've been itching to rewatch. I'm very excited to revisit this one because I think it's one that will really live up on a rewatch, just because I was a bit caught off guard by what exactly this was giving me. I mean, there's musical elements, there's horror elements. It's at the end of the day a character piece. I mean, there's a lot going on in it, but I thought it was beautiful and a very unique movie. Alpha's, I'm gonna, when I first saw it, I probably would have put it in weak sauce, but it's kind of something to watch. I'd even border on glad I am glad it exists, but I'm not gonna put it in glad it exists territory. Really crazy to be talking this way about a Julia Ducournau movie, considering she had a flawless record before this. It's a really interesting movie, the more I've thought about it. It's very different for her. It feels much more like a drama than a horror, though there are body horror elements, of course. I don't like the way this movie looks. I think it's very dull and kind of gross. Not in a way that like not in the gross way that I love about Julia Ducournau, but in a way that's like just not very nice to look at. I was really struggling to connect with this one. It has a lot of interesting concepts. It's very French in that way, where it's like it has a lot of things to say, doesn't always have the most interesting way of saying them, and kind of loses you in the process. Felt very long when I first saw it. Which is something I never say about Julia Ducournau movies, which usually fly by and I lose myself in them. So it was a very frustrating watch, and it's another one where I really look forward to checking it out again. I actually have the screener for this one, so I might rewatch it at home, which is crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna give it another shot. What is Jesus 2? Thank you for the super chat. It is a short film that is a part of Don Hertzfeldt's animation mixtape. It's an interesting one. Not my favorite short film from that event, from that compilation. It's not really my sense of humor, but it's really, I mean, it's beautiful, really well animated, looks really nice. Yeah, worth checking out though. Where did you find this? Why are you? Steve is something to watch. It's solid. It's a nice movie. I have no problems with Steve, other than, kind of tries to bite off a bit more than it can chew. Great Cillian Murphy performance. I thought some of the more surrealist elements were like a little forced, kind of not what this story needed. But I like Steve, I like Steve. I think, obviously, like I said, Cillian Murphy's great. Good cinematography for the most part. Important movie, important topic. But, yeah. Steve. Sound of Falling. Dude, Sound of Falling, I am glad it exists. Really insane movie out of Cannes. Also don't think it's gotten a wide release quite yet. I don't think it's going to make it into the best international category ultimately. It's too weird for the Oscars. And I love that about it. It's a very odd movie that's kind of hard to describe. It's like 3 different generations of girls, but it's told in like this really powerful, kind of artsy-fartsy way. I hate using that term, but there's not really a better way to describe it. It's peak European art house. And if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Like, really crazy use of sound, amazing use of light, a lot of ghostly elements. It's beautiful all the way through. I think it's one of the best looking and sounding movies I saw this year. Bit hard to chew on. It's a bit much. It is a long watch, and you certainly feel it. But I was pretty taken aback by it. I was. It's one of those you want to see big and loud, and yeah, interesting movie. I wish I thought about it a bit more, but it's kind of faded away from my memory. But really liked watching it in the moment. Lots to love about it. Warfare. Warfare's something to watch. I've really come around to Warfare. Like I mentioned at the top of the stream, as much as I had my issues with it on a first watch, where I was like, what is the... I found it kind of pointless, honestly, even though I know that's like the point. I think technically speaking, it's very strong, very interesting. I really love the Charles Melton performance in this. Noah Centineo doing a pretty good job. I think it's been completely shut out for sound in ways that really frustrate me, because I think it's got some of the best sound of any movie in a long time. But narratively speaking, yeah, I mean, to put it simply, it's a little boring. It's a little boring and not like, if you're gonna say that's the point, I think that's a lame point. Opus. I hate to do this too. I mean, he's got a great career. You look up the director of this film. He's a very successful person. He's done a lot of good work. But as a first-time feature filmmaker, I hate to do this, but it might be one of the worst movies of the year. It was really bad. Really did not like Opus. Kind of just completely forgettable. There's another movie coming up that's very similar to it, where it's another cult movie where they go in the middle of nowhere and things get a little weird. And that kind of stuff is just, it's just so boring these days. I mean, it's just not what we need. And the movie feels confused at how to do it. Doesn't feel convinced of itself. It's a damn shame. Iowa Debris, man, not her best year. not a great year for Iowa Debris. Between this and After the Hunt, and I haven't seen Ella McKay yet. She was really good in I Love L.A., I will say that, and she's always good in The Bear, although The Bear, there you could say there's something to say about how that did this year. But, I mean, film-wise, a bit underwhelming. Yeah, was not a huge fan of Opus. Is this thing on? I don't know. I don't know what to do with this thing on. And I don't know if like anyone knows what to do with it. It's not that bad. It's also just a very weird movie. It's something to watch. And I'm also kind of glad it exists at the same time. I'm going to leave it in something to watch just because I can already feel it slipping away from me. I don't know if this thing is it's exactly it's a good title for a movie that's like kind of just getting by at the end of the day. I mean, there's good performances. Will Arnett, fantastic. Laura Dern, great. An amazing Peyton Manning performance. I know I said I wasn't going to spoil this back when I did that stream a while ago, but people have been talking about it, so I feel like it's safe to say Peyton Manning is in this movie. And it's like there's a sequence with Peyton Manning. However long that stretches, it's an amazing watch. I mean, there's some good watches in here, good stretches of time. At the end of the day, I don't really know what the point of this is, especially for Bradley Cooper. It's something to watch. It's something to watch. Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. I don't know what to do with this one either. It pains me to say it's kind of weak sauce because I don't see myself ever rewatching it. It's pretty, well, I don't know. It's better than Mission Impossible 2, but it's not a very good Mission Impossible movie. It's not a very good movie at all. Very clunky, kind of incoherent. But those two scenes, we can't leave it in 2025 because those two scenes are just so good. There's some really great scenes here. I saw this with John. Now that I think about it, I forgot we saw this together. I feel like when I think back to that experience, I feel like we were laughing at so much of this when we weren't supposed to be laughing. I will say great Tremel Tillman performance. He's amazing in this. It's not Leave It in 2025. It is weak sauce, but it's not Leave It in 2025. Materialists. God, now we're really getting into the thorny ones here, aren't we? Materialists, it's something to watch. I'm kind of glad it exists. I don't know. The thing about Materialists is a lot of my my defense for it was that it was an interesting rom-com, that like it was doing an interesting thing with the genre. But then I saw Splitsville and then I saw Pillion and I was kind of like, those are just better versions of this. And then you think about like Past Lives and it's like she was so much better in that. It's not bad. I'm not someone who thinks Materialist is a bad movie. I think it's clever and I kind of like the sterile look of it. I like Dakota Johnson in it a lot. I think it's funnier than people give it credit for. It's so funny that like people isolate certain scenes like the leg stuff and they're like, isn't this just ridiculous? And I'm like, well, yeah, man, it's a rom-com. You complained about it not having enough jokes, and now you're like looking at the jokes and calling that too ridiculous. And I'm like, well, that's the joke. It's that's a little insane, that scene. I think it's a little misunderstood, but it's also not strong enough that like it needs to be fought for to work in it. And I don't know. It's not. Does that make sense? I'm really tired of talking about Materialist, if you can't tell. It is kind of like I want to leave Materialist discourse in 2025 because it was kind of an annoying movie to talk about this year. But I don't know. It really wasn't that bad. I hope Celine Song goes back to the past lives direction instead of... I hope she doesn't try to do something like this moving forward. But yeah. Once again, Materialist is not a rom-com. It isn't trying to be. I don't know what... That's not... I disagree. I think it is a rom-com. I may agree with you that it isn't trying to be a rom-com in the traditional sense, but I mean, there's romance and there's comedy, but it's just dry comedy. If that's not comedy, I don't know what you call that. It's a bad movie if it isn't comedy. I don't know. Like, I fully think it's a rom-com. It's just a different kind. It was mismarketed, yeah. Her next project is an HBO show. I think that's where that she fits right in with that. I feel like she has like an HBO thing about her. It's like sophisticated and like looks nice, very watchable. Is that why people don't like Materialists? Because they think it's a rom-com? The reasons why people don't like Materialists vary. People think it's boring. People think it's not funny, which I guess is, yeah, they think it's a rom-com, but the com comes from computers. That's true. I'm done talking about Materialists. Let's just... Sorry, Baby. Glad this exists. Sorry, Baby, honestly, borderline just great. Very good movie. Another great directorial debut. Really good lead performance from Ava Victor. That final scene, one of my favorite scenes of the year. Great Lucas Hedges performance. I love Sorry Baby. I think it kind of steps on its own tail a few times in trying to... This is a movie where I feel like the com interferes with the substance in it. Like, I really like the directions it's heading in. And then it feels like it has to butt in with some sort of like self-aware humor that I think takes away from some of the beauty at the heart of its script. But for the most part, it's a very charming movie and kind of, I don't know, a type of like indie dramedy that you don't see enough of these days. Felt good to see something like this year. Splitsville. Very fun. Very fun. I'm also glad Splitsville exists. It's a really fun movie that's honestly grown on me with time. Another kind of, I mean, this is like an indie rom-com that you don't see enough of these days. Much better time than Materialists. A lot funnier than Materialists. Some great stunt choreography in this. Weirdly. A lot of dick going on in this movie. I thought it was a great time. I had a really good time watching Splitsville. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, it's worth a watch. Dangerous Animals. Dangerous Animals is something to watch. Kind of an overhated movie. When I saw this in Cannes, believe it or not, I thought it was a blast. I was having a really good time with this. I was like, we needed a good shark horror movie in 2025. And I get maybe it's a little disposable. Maybe it's not the most memorable movie, but I think the kills are very good. I think it's a very well-directed movie. I love the tone of it. I love that it's kind of a surfer stoner comedy at times and then can very flawlessly jump into being a gritty, bloody shark horror. I don't really get the complaints for Dangerous Animals. I was really surprised to see it get kind of mediocre to bad reviews when it came out. It's a good time. It's a fun movie. Urchin. Very good. Really liked Urchin. Glad this exists. Yeah, another fantastic directorial debut. A lot of great directorial debuts this year. This one by Harris Dickinson, who, in a way that I appreciated a bit more, it's a little bit more restrained than Steve in how it blends surrealist elements with its grounded character drama. I like it. These are two styles that don't typically mesh together, and you see why in Steve. But in Urchin, it goes to some really interesting places. It is very much a directorial debut. It's a filmmaker who's really excited to try a lot of different things. Sometimes it's biting off a bit more than it can chew, but for the most part, I mean, great central performance. A lot of great realism throughout. I really enjoyed Urchin. I was really impressed. Lurker. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too. Lurker. I'm glad it exists. Also a very good time. Also a directorial debut. Another great Theodore Pellerin performance this year. I was kind of shocked to see this not go as far as I thought it would when it came out. If you haven't seen Lurker yet, you should really check it out because it's a very likable movie. It's very fun. It's very entertaining. It's in a similar way, not really, but like kind of exists in the same vein as Cloud, as a like modern day tech horror movie. It's more thriller though, and it's less like it's more based around clout than it is like internet stuff. It's a movie that I'm very happy exists because there is a lot to say about this like hype beast clout culture that feels like completely untapped in film, and this movie really understands that language and that kind of character and has a lot of fun with it in the process. Really good time. I enjoyed Lurker quite a bit. And it looks really good as well. Romeria, one of the most underrated movies this year. I'm not going to say it's better than Glad This Exists because I think it didn't stick as much as Carla Simon's other films, or at least specifically Summer 1993. But really great movie about memory and home video, kind of in line with After Sun. Maybe not as strong as After Sun, but really admirable, and has that same Carla Simone magic where everything just feels so real and natural. Really loved it. Very underrated, very underseen, underdiscussed. There's a bad movie called Mainstream about that. I've seen Mainstream, and it is it's a weaker version of Lurker for sure. As far as like a movie about like internet fame and whatnot. I haven't thought about Mainstream in so long. That movie looks really good, I will say. The cinematography is nice, and Andrew Garfield is very good. It's got a Casey Frey performance, believe it or not. But kind of a forgettable movie that doesn't really know what to do with its material. Whereas Lurker very much understands what its characters are. Kill the Jockey, another really underrated movie out of Argentina. I want to say Argentina or Chile. Apologies, I forget. Very charismatic coded. Has a very dry sense of humor. Ultimately turns around into being something a lot more dramatic, though. Thought it was going to be kind of a comedy, but is really a pretty tragic movie about gender and identity. It's been a while since I've seen it. I'm a little rusty on it, but I really liked it. I'm very glad it exists. It's a fun time. I haven't thought about Mainstream in a long time. That's true, man. That's true. That's that indie life right there. Oh, man. Rental Family, new Brendan Fraser movie from this year. Kind of went under the radar at the end of the day. It was supposed to be, I think, a much bigger film than it ended up being. I think it was really banking on like having some Golden Globe success to carry it into the Oscars. Very much kind of you see right through it as a bit of a crowd-pleasy, borderline Oscar baity movie. I hesitate to say all that because I do think it's still pretty likable. There's a lot to like about Rental Family. It's a lot funnier than I thought it would be, but I really felt at a distance to some of its like more dramatic moments. I don't know. I saw right through it. As much as I love Brendan Fraser, who's very good in it, It's fine. It's cute. It's something to watch. Caught Stealing. Pretty much the same. It's something to watch. Liked it more than I thought I would. But also ended up being about like as disposable as I thought it would be as well. Like I watched it earlier this month. Feels like I watched it a million years ago. Feels like I've lived a lifetime since I last saw Caught Stealing. It's fine. It's got some good action sequences. Austin Butler is very good in it. I really like the style of it too. I think Darren Aronofsky is very comfortable in this style of film. I much prefer it to some of his more self-serious work. But I was also thinking about it. It's crazy that like Darren Aronofsky's last film was with Brendan Fraser, who beat out Austin Butler. And then now Darren Aronofsky's working with Austin Butler, and blah, 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 blah. I thought that was kind of fun. It's very good, though. It's very good. The cat is great in it as well. Black Bag, Steven Soderbergh, a highlight of this year. Was for like a good 2 months was my number one of the year because there was not much else to see. Honestly, really great. I really liked it. It's teetering on just great. I think it's a really nice return to form for Soderbergh. Kind of goes in the hat. What are you talking about? It's really stylish, really sleek, really clever and funny. Had a lot of fun watching it. Never mind. Okay. It may not be the most may not stand out that much at the end of the day when you see it next to films like One Battle or Marty Supreme or even like Secret Agent, but I liked it for what it was. It's very watchable. Sinners is just great. I've been really meaning to watch Sinners again. It's been since its theatrical run that I've seen it. I was planning on watching it with my parents. We were pitching that one for a while. My dad had already seen it, so he didn't really want to rewatch it. But I need to revisit it because I really liked it, and I'm very fuzzy on it talking about it now. But I mean, one of my favorite theater going experiences of the year. Looks absolutely incredible. Just editing my end of the year video and like going through like the trailer footage, I'm like, God, this movie looks incredible, man. It looks amazing. It sounds amazing. Michael B. Jordan is fantastic in it. Delroy Lindo, fantastic in it. Neck and neck with One Battle for my favorite score of the year. And just a great time. One of those where it's like you forget what the movie is until it happens because you're just so sucked into the world. It's a great movie, man. It's great. It's just that third act. That's the only thing really holding it back for me, and that's why I think I would like it a lot more on a rewatch, knowing what I'm getting into. But yeah, it feels like it ends about 5 different times. But I might appreciate it more on a rewatch, to be honest. That's one I would love to own the 4K of. I did get a 4K I got 2 4Ks for Christmas. I got the Eyes Wide Shut from my parents, and then my girlfriend got me the Punch Drunk Love 4K, which means the world to me because I've owned a shitty DVD copy of Punch Drunk Love for years and have been needing that. So I'm very happy. Gonna watch that very soon. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Just great. Another one that almost didn't make or almost did make the top 10. For a while, it was in the top 10, and then it got pushed out for whatever reason. But definitely a highlight of this year. Probably the best. Let me think on that. I was gonna say best directorial debut of the year, which I think it is now that I think about it. One of the strongest visions of any directorial debut this year. I think while I totally see where people are at with the Uncut Gems comparisons. Obviously, it's directed by Ronald Bronstein's wife. I also think it's got its own thing going on. It's very much it's stressful, yes, but like there's something a lot kind of more introspective about it, something a lot quieter, and anxiety. I think anxiety gets tossed around a lot when people talk about Uncut Gems. I think it's just a lot of yelling, though, that like freaks people out. It's overwhelming. But If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You has that feels like an actual panic attack. I really liked it, and I think Rose Byrne does an amazing job at the center of it. A$AP Rocky, also very good. Conan O'Brien, also very good. It does have a Synecdoche, New York thing about it. You're right, yeah. I really recommend checking it out if you haven't seen it yet. It's a highlight of 2025 for sure. Sentimental Value, also a highlight. Just rewatched it semi-recently. Really good movie, really bad time. This movie makes me sad. It brings out like the same sadness I had when I realized that when I was I don't know, growing up and realizing like how bad the world is. Just, I don't know, seeing it's like watching your parents cry for the first time, kind of sad. It's a really, I don't know, very tender film, especially on a rewatch that I don't know, I just really appreciate. And like I said in my video, kind of a hard one to talk about. But it's kind of neck and neck with Worst Person at this point for me. It's very interesting. Not a movie that should really work that well as a movie, because it's kind of like, it kind of brings depression into film and is trying to capture that feeling in film, and really works. 28 Years Later, also very good. I'm genuinely surprised that this got shit on. I'm surprised at yes, the last scene, kind of questionable. Not a huge fan. It's like when you're in the bathroom and you realize there's no more toilet paper. Exactly, man. I think Joachim Trier should hear that. But 28 Years Later, I thought it was great. I thought it's some of my favorite iPhone cinematography I've seen. Thought it was really sad. I mean, a really sad movie. I felt it's interesting because I like 28 Days, but felt weirdly I didn't really care about the characters in that movie. All love to Cillian Murphy, but I didn't really care. 28 Years Later, complete opposite, where I just felt immediately connected to everyone on screen, and I don't know, there was kind of the fact that what's happening in this movie has been happening for a while was just something felt much more casual about it. This is the world we live in now, and this need to, I don't know, survive is just built into how you live. I don't know what I'm saying at this point, but that's I'm getting somewhere with it. The fact that it's all of that told through the perspective of what is a very young person, I felt was really tragic. And I don't know, I really liked it. I liked how it looked. I liked how it felt. I'm going to put it in just great, because the more I think about it, the more I like it. Die My Love, one that honestly has weakened a bit with time. It's another hard one to talk about, because it's a lot like something like Surat, where it's pretty it shines in its visuals and in its sound. It's strong from a filmmaking perspective alone. It's just got great cinematography, great sound design, great performances. All the pieces are there. It's not one that I really know how to explain, or what is so great about it, other than it just captures a very visceral emotion of feeling I don't know, misunderstood. But I don't know. I've had a very strong reaction to this when I first saw it. I think Jennifer Lawrence delivers one of her best performances here. But yeah, it's maybe not my favorite Lynn Ramsey movie at the end of the day. I think she does much more interesting things in something like You Were Never Really Here. And certainly we need to talk about Kevin. But I agree, very overhated. Because what it's doing with performances alone is pretty exceptional. I'm gonna say just great. Jay Kelly. Listen, man. Speaking of overhated, I think I'm surprised that people hate Jay Kelly. That I get it. Like, I get that maybe it's a little tone deaf. If it's a tough sell getting you to try and care about such a successful, handsome, wealthy man. But I think it's an interesting movie. And I really like the screenplay. I think it's one of the strongest scripts of the year. Hey, man, smartest movie of the year, according to my dad. I think it falls apart every now and then. Like when you're checked out of it, you're checked out completely. It feels very self-serious at times, but I think it's a very funny movie. I feel like it's very sharply written. I'm glad it exists. Frankenstein. I go back and forth with Frankenstein all the time. Begonia is not here. You're right. Where the fuck is Begonia? 1 second. I just realized Begonia is not here, and Roofman's not here. Give me 1 second. Because I got to talk about Roofman. This is good. I needed a break. But yeah, Frankenstein, I'm kind of all over the place with. I was not crazy about it the first time I saw it, but I didn't hate it. On a rewatch, was way more charmed, especially by the first half. Okay. But I don't know. Now that like some time has passed, it really is like, especially in the context of the rest of what came out this year, really kind of underwhelming and unexciting. I mean, really middle of the road for Guillermo del Toro. Weirdly uninspired for him, even though, and it shouldn't be because it's what he's been trying to make his entire career. I think there are beautiful aspects of it. I really connect to. I don't really connect, but like I felt moved by Jacob Elordi's performance at times. He is probably the standout, but yeah, kind of. Ultimately, I'm glad it exists because I obviously like a Frankenstein movie directed by Guillermo del Toro. Yeah, I am glad it exists. It's just not as good as it should be, is it? After the Hunt is missing, man. What the dude? I swear to God, I downloaded most of these. Give me 1 second. Yeah, of course the production design is amazing. It's a shame that it's shot in a way where you don't really get to appreciate it, in my opinion. Okay. Shelby Oaks, dude. Oh my God. What else? Before we go too far. Shelby Oaks? I didn't see The Coral. Damn, what else? I didn't see War of the Worlds. Two Sleepy People? I think I'm honestly going to say Two Sleepy People is technically a 2026. I could include it, though. Speaking of creator movies. Mickey 17's on there. I know the screen is black, so you can't even really see, but 1 second. Hamnet's on there. I didn't see Bring Her Back. I didn't see Fantastic Four. The Code. The Code does count, doesn't it? Good catch. Good catch on that. K-Pop Demon Hunters is on there. Superman is on there. I did not see Paddington in Peru. Avatar is not on there. Thunderbolts is on there. I have not seen Resurrection yet. Okay. I got the code. I haven't seen Lost Bus. I think this is it. I'm like fairly certain this is it. Boys Go to Jupiter, I counted last year, and that's wrong. Oh, man, Wicked for Good, you're right. I also think I counted EFIS last year. Release schedules, man, they fuck me up. Wake Up Dead Man's there. Wicked for Good. God damn it. That is... Wicked for Good might be the most forgettable movie of all time. I can't believe... I've already forgotten about it entirely. Okay. Hell of a Summer too, but that's also... Didn't I say... Yeah, I thought I saw that in like 2023. Okay. Weapons. Did anybody actually watch Nuremberg? A lot of people watch Nuremberg. They're just probably not in this chat. Okay, Weapons. Weapons is just great. Weapons, one of the best studio films of the year. One of the most enjoyable theater-going experiences of the year. I had a blast watching this movie. Wallace and Gromit was 2024, I'm pretty sure. I think I said about pretty much what I had to say about Frankenstein. There's not a whole lot to say at that point. I mean, not as good as it should be. That's to put it plainly. Loved Weapons. The Amateur. The Amateur, and Mom, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. It's kind of weak sauce. My mom was like, we were talking about the Oscars, and she was like, "Is The Amateur up for anything?" And I'm like, you're gonna hear something you're not gonna want to hear right now. But The Amateur has like a less than 0% chance. Like there's the chances for The Amateur being at the Oscars. It's like it never even came out. Maybe Sound. I don't know. Maybe Sound. Amateur, not terrible. It's not a Leave It in 2025 situation. If they made another Amateur, if there was an Amateur 2, I would watch it happily. I think there's something there with the like smart guy spy thriller with Rami Malek. Kind of forgettable though at the end of the day. A little stale. Gets to some interesting places like here and there, but kind of not the most memorable movie. My Father's Shadow. Glad this exists. One of my favorite directorial debuts of the year, in a year full of great directorial debuts. Fantastic cinematography, fantastic central performance. Really great movie. About a father and his two sons. And, it reminded me a lot. It's got like it's not very Sean Baker-esque, but it is Sean Baker-esque in its child performances, like in the way it captures the child's perspective, through beautiful 16 millimeter, or maybe that one's 35. I can't tell, but it looks amazing. Very well acted. How to Train Your Dragon. This is also weak sauce. It's really not that bad. Did not hate this movie at all. Really didn't. Thought it was completely fine and watchable. Good for the kids. I don't think anyone's talking about this movie or will talk about this movie for a very long time. The Running Man, you're right. I need to add The Running Man at some point. No, it is here. It's over there. In the corner. Yeah, I completely forgot about How to Train Your Dragon. It was fine, it got the job done, but it's also like for how stale and safe it was, it's really just like we can move on. Wake Up Dead Man. Glad it exists. it's pretty great. I kind of also want to rewatch that one. I unfortunately was feeling kind of burnt out at TIFF by that point. And I don't think I appreciated it as much as I maybe would have if I had just watched it at home. But like, it's a very solid Knives Out movie. I think it's a step up from Glass Onion for sure. Josh O'Connor's amazing in it. Glenn Close is amazing in it. Has a lot of interesting things to say about faith and religion. A much smarter film than Glass Onion, I gotta say. Returns to the murder mystery roots in a lot of ways. Very clever. I thought it was great. Probably not just great territory quite yet, but I enjoyed Wake Up Dead Man. Zootopia 2 is in here. K-pop Demon Hunters. I'm glad this exists. I'm glad it exists. It's not my thing, but the category speaks for itself. I am glad it exists. Honestly, for an animated K-pop movie, it looks fantastic. The music is good. Interesting story. Probably better than I'm giving it credit for. I think I had it at a 3. I'd bump it up to 3.5. It was a fun movie. It was a good movie, and I'm glad everybody's having fun. Hamnet. I am glad it exists. It's a complicated one because I think it is, all the technicals are amazing across the board, well acted, great looking, great sounding. The ending is beautiful, of course. Hard not to cry at that ending. And I know some people could say that it's very manipulative, but I don't really believe in that. I'm like, I think if a movie can get you there, then that's an achievement. A bit of a drag at times, not really one that I felt very strongly. I honestly felt Nomadland a lot more than this. There was something a lot more, weirdly more authentic about that and The Rider. Here, I just don't believe it. I don't really believe what Zhao is selling me. And I don't know, maybe that's on me. Maybe I'm just going in with a bit of a bitter perspective on it because it feels so Oscar baity on paper. But I think it's also like an undeniably beautiful movie. And like Jessie Buckley gets to act her heart out. And it's great to see her doing so. I really hope she gets that Oscar. People are saying it's kind of in the bag, but I don't know why I'm not convinced quite yet. No Other Choice. No Other Choice is just great. One of the best movies of the year. One of the best directed movies of the year. One of the most clever movies. One of the most enjoyable movies. A absolute riot of a film. Such a good time. Like I said, very clever. It's high A tier. It might be a masterpiece, but I have to wait to rewatch it again. It's one of Park Chan-wook's finest. It's a little, this is maybe a dumb thing to say. Feels a bit obvious at times, but it makes up for it in how much fun it's having along the way. Like, it doesn't really matter as long as it's like a really clever, well-told film, which it is. Really liked No Other Choice. Really good movie. Mickey 17. Glad it exists. Hasn't, honestly, when I rewatched it a few months later, I forgot how goofy this movie is. It is a ridiculous film. Definitely overhated. I think people are overhating this film. But, it's goofy. I think it's another movie where the third act gets a bit carried away. I wish he slimmed it down a bit. It is very much a director who has full creative control and can do whatever the hell he wants. And I love that about it. It's not my favorite type of Bong Joon-ho. I'm not a huge fan of his snowy sci-fi movies. You can't really call Okja snowy, but this very much belongs in the Okja Snowpiercer camp. And those aren't my favorite Bong Joon-ho movies, but I think they're very good and very fun at the end of the day. Superman. This is, Well, assuming it doesn't get nominated for any Oscars, which it might, I think this might be one of the last times I talk about this movie. I always say that, but it's going to come up again. It's and away we go. It's something to watch, low tier, something to watch. It's something to have on in the background. Truthfully, it's kind of weak sauce. I think I think this movie's kind of hideous. I think it's corny. I think of all the movies this year that, were about hope and, trying to push for a better world, I think this is one of the weaker examples. I think I truly think it's one of the, just the more like, there's something very bitter about this movie. And maybe it brought out a bitterness in me this year. So maybe I don't know where that's coming from, but there's something about this that just rubs me the wrong way. It's not my thing. It to me, it looks very bad. It did not inspire hope the way a lot of these other films did. But it's something to watch. It's an entertaining superhero movie. Him, if we want to talk about an actually bad movie, him we got to leave in 2025. We got to move on. Him was not very good, was it? I think we can. I can't think of a worse third act than this one. One of the worst endings of the year for sure. Really, not as bad as Opus, I don't think, because I think him has a very unique concept, and I really like anti-pronoun much. Oh, I read that and I was like, what are you talking about? And then that's a good joke. That's a good joke. Yeah, no, it's pretty bad. It's so bad because of how good it could have been. I think it has a really interesting starting point and chooses the most boring, overplayed route to go with it, which is through cults and, high concept horror, which is just not executed very well. Really obnoxiously edited. It's a shame. It's a shame. F1. Glad it exists. I liked F1 quite a bit. I had a really good time watching F1. I'd rewatch F1. I've been looking forward to, having a flight where I could rewatch F1. But, because that's really the only time I can see myself rewatching it. I don't see myself putting this on at home. But it was a good time. I was listening to the rewatchables on it where they were comparing it to Moneyball. And I was like, that's so true. That's actually so true. There's a lot of Moneyball-isms in it. And I would not be surprised if on a rewatch I ended up appreciating F1 a lot more. I don't know, man. I like what what's his name? Kaczynski's doing. I like the Kaczynski touch. It charms me for some reason. Smashing Machine. Got a speeding ticket leaving the theater after F1. It's fair, man. That's fair. Smashing Machine. I'm glad it exists. For some reason, it's not really like having a great week right now. Next to Marty Supreme, it looks kind of weak, but on its own, I remember liking a lot about it. I mean, it's another one where I love the way it looks and I adore the way it sounds. Kind of a sneak for best score in my book. It will not get a best score nomination, but I think it kind of deserves it. Love the way this thing feels, and I love Dwayne's performance at the center of it. I think The Rock gives a genuinely great performance in this. Really not the most riveting film. Leaves a lot to be desired in that department. Like, it could be written in a way that brings out a little bit more drama. It kind of spins its wheels a bit, but I really appreciate Benny's more hopeful approach to this subject. It seems like a much more mature film and a much more kind of. It's definitely the film of like a more grown director than what you see in something like Heaven Knows What or Good Time. Okay, Arco. Arco's something to watch. I think I speak on behalf of a lot of people who saw this movie, where I say it's in like a similar way to Frankenstein, a movie I really wish I liked a bit more, that I really wished was a little bit better. It's a little stale and kind of feels like a Sunday morning cartoon at times, but in like a prestigious French way. So the animation's great. The character design is amazing. I love this rainbow world and all of the sci-fi aspects and all the primary colors. I think it looks beautiful. Just wish it was like giving me a bit more. Feels a bit dry. Zootopia 2, Glad It Exists. One of my favorite animated films of the year. Really fantastic Disney animated film that, at the end of the day, probably wasn't ever going to make the list because I think I respect everything else that came above it. But, like, for a studio animated film, this is very refreshing. Had a lot of fun watching this one. The Naked Gun. Also had a lot of fun watching this. I'm very glad this one exists. In the same vein as something like Friendship. Great to see a studio comedy that is a true capital C comedy with full of jokes. The windshield joke is probably the hardest I laughed at anything this year. That is the funniest bit I've seen in a while. Dust Bunny. I'm not going to say leave it in 2025, though I really didn't enjoy watching it. It is kind of weak sauce. I really did not like watching Dust Bunny. Felt like, I don't know, diet Tim Burton. Like Tim Burton without the whimsy or the heart. I know some people have been really enjoying it, which makes me feel like maybe I just watched it in like the wrong mindset. Like maybe there's something about Dust Bunny that I just didn't get. But I thought this was like a painfully dull, boring, sleepy Tim Burton ripoff at the end of the day. Running Man. I liked Running Man. I'll defend Running Man quite a bit. I think I have to put it in something to watch, a tier below everything else, because I genuinely don't think it's as strong as like anything that's in Glad This Exists. Like it just feels like it's not in the same tier, even though it's like a 3.5 star movie to me, and is technically on the same wavelength as a lot of those films. It's just not as interesting. It's a good time. It's not something I'll ever rewatch. It doesn't have the same Edgar Wright spark, which is a shame. It's fun. But that's about it. Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts. Now this is crazy. This is like the most unexpected thing I could have expected from this year. Unexpected thing I could have expected. That doesn't make sense. Thunderbolts I am going to put above Running Man. Like, the idea of putting a Marvel joke or a Marvel film above an Edgar Wright film is crazy to me. But I was very charmed by Thunderbolts, and I think the fact that I was charmed by it speaks to its strengths. Like that, you got to do a lot to be a Marvel movie that's in a lot of a Marvel joke. Yeah. You got to do a lot to be a superhero film in 2025 and like charm me, even when it's like so obviously desperate. I think it kind of owns up to its desperations and is very much a movie that's like trying to find its identity. Like that's like a lot of what this movie's about. And like, I don't know. I really liked that about it. It felt like they were trying. It felt like a Marvel movie that's like really trying to win you back. And something about that really worked for me. I wish it got a bit more love throughout the year. I feel like people have completely forgotten this movie happened. But but to me, that's interesting, and I had to put it in. Glad this exists. Left-Handed Girl. Glad it exists. A highlight from Cannes for sure. Also great iPhone cinematography. Wonderful little movie about being a kid. With some really heartbreaking moments here and there. Maybe not the most memorable thing I watched this year, but very solid. Minecraft. I think we should leave it in 2025. I feel like enough has been said about Minecraft at this point. I know I've gone back and forth with my thoughts on this. There's things. I've had a very complicated relationship with this movie because there's things about it that I kind of appreciate. I appreciate that the fact that it knows exactly what it is. You know, like it knows how stupid it is, and I think Jared Hess, who knows what he's doing as a filmmaker, goes into this with that in mind and decides to just make the most like child-friendly like kids movie ever. I mean, he's not there to do anything else. That said, I think it's kind of bottom of the barrel stuff. Holy unk, what are you talking about? What did I do this time? Don't show up alone to a Minecraft screening, you'll get a lot of weird looks. That was me. Very weird movie. The amount of Napoleon Dynamite references is odd. Like, that is one of the weirdest things. Anyway, Jack Black's having fun. And I liked that about it, but we should leave it. Elio's something to watch. Really, I mean, talk about forgettable. Maybe one of the most forgettable movies this year. I enjoyed Elio. Sorry, I'm just zoned out to the chat for a second. I enjoyed Elio. Thought it looked nice. Thought it was very heartfelt. Ultimately, kind of stale next to something like K-pop Demon Hunters or even Zootopia 2, which is like proof that you can still make like even like a studio an animated sequel can still have a lot of life and have a lot of fun with itself. Elio feels like Pixar just trying to make another Pixar movie, and you know, it succeeds in a way. It does come out pretty enjoyable. There's some really funny moments in there. It's very likable, but it's really not very exciting next to everything else that came out this year. Better than Elemental, I will say. I think it's a step up from Elemental. Eddington, very glad it exists. Borderline, just great. I'm gonna put it in just great. I don't give a fuck. I thought Eddington was great. It's aged like fine wine. Maybe not a movie that I enjoy watching all that much. And people, whenever I say this about Eddington, people, their minds completely explode. They're like, what do you, like, if you don't like watching it, then it's not a good movie. And it's like, that's not true at all. A thing can be a tough watch and still be great. Look at If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, or Uncut Gems. And I think like Eddington, I think it's such an unenjoyable watch because it very vividly goes back to that time and succeeds at that. And I mean, that's worth admiring alone, but I mean, I think it's a really smart movie that had a very tough, very thin line to balance on. And I was just impressed by it. I was impressed by how funny it was, by how insightful it was, by how much it was able to say about a time that feels like a very touchy subject. Really liked it. Really liked Eddington. Roofman, glad it exists. Glad it exists. The quintessential they don't make them like they used to movie of this year. And I love that about it. Looks amazing. Channing Tatum's great. Kirsten Dunst amazing. Really sad, really mismarketed film. Like, I really thought this should have leaned into its kind of, even though it's not really an indie, it should have leaned into that vibe because that part of it works really well. Very watchable, very likable, very goofy, bit long, but I had a good time watching Roofman. It made me want more movies like Roofman. Begonia. Glad it exists. Kind of not my favorite Yorgos. It's not the most exciting Yorgos movie, but undeniably a good time. Really wild movie that goes into directions that truly did shock me every now and then. I guess it kind of had it got dealt a tough hand next to something like Eddington in One Battle. Like movies like this that tackle very similar themes, you know, those are two films that did it in a more interesting and kind of what's the word? Long-lasting way. Like I've thought about those films a lot more than I've thought about Begonia, but it's still a very fun time. And Jesse Plemons really good in it. After the Hunt may be a little overhated because there are stretches in here that are fantastic. I think the first act of After the Hunt is really strong and really, at times, funny. I think Andrew Garfield ordering, or not even ordering, but getting his Indian food, like his response to it being placed on the table is like one of my favorite things I saw this year. It's just ridiculous. It's weak sauce, though. It's not a very good movie. It very quickly falls apart. Doesn't really feel like it goes anywhere. Yeah, really frustrating watch, despite having so many good, like, individual pieces. Again, tough year for Iowa Debris. Shelby Oaks. I mean, truthfully, I'm glad Shelby Oaks exists. Like, that is true. I'm glad Shelby Oaks exists because it's quite a feat in that way. The fact that, like, it was completely crowdfunded from the ground up, got a full wide release, went very far, has a lot of flaws. There's something there, though. I think Chris, I would love to see Chris make another film with like a proper budget. I think this is it. Actually, I'm not going to go too deep into that, but there's potential there. It's maybe not the most unique horror movie out there, but I'm going to say it's something to watch. Two Sleepy People. Very similar movie. A bit stronger than Shelby Oaks, I got to say. I'm going to say something to watch, high tier something to watch. Very ambitious screenplay and goes into some like really interesting places with the screenplay. Feels like it wears its influences on its sleeve and relies on them a bit too hard at times, I have to admit. But I think Barron is a very talented writer and actor. Great performances in this movie. Another one who I'd love to see what he does next. Yeah, that's what I gotta say. That's what I gotta say. These are tough ones. It's tough to put these movies, which are like crowdfunded and very much from the ground up types of movies, like in the same tier as something like Materialist. Like it's a complicated, because I'm like, I am very glad they exist. But yeah. Fire and Ash. I do have to include the Ballad of a Small Player. Fire and Ash, I don't know. That one's tough. I'm glad it exists. I think I spoke about this. I forget where I said this. Was it in stream where I was like, I'm very grateful for every Avatar movie that comes out. Like I think I think they should be celebrated because it's like such a unique feat in cinema. Like there is not any other filmmaker doing it like James Cameron, and the fact that he just like he's committed his career to making these movies and to building out this world is pretty bright. Like, I don't know when the next time we'll see something like this again. And so I'm like, I genuinely think these are movies that should be celebrated. I think Fire and Ash is very flawed and kind of dumb at times. Definitely not as good as Way of Water. But yeah, I'm glad it exists. I had a good time watching it. I kind of, and I never expected to feel this, like, would watch this again. I would go back if I had 4 hours to kill. Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. The Code. Glad this exists. The Code, if you didn't know, Eugene Kotlyarenko, one of the most interesting filmmakers working today, does a lot of fascinating things with screens in this movie. Really liked it. Give me 1 second. But yeah, it was it's a bonkers watch. It's a bonkers watch. You're right. I do got to include The Long Walk. Tough sell. Maybe not. Maybe it won't be everybody's thing, but as a film about, I mean, if we want to talk about like a crazy example of what Eddington and One Battle and what's the other one, Begonia are doing, as far as like living in a world of screens and feeling watched at all times. The Code is probably the craziest one you can watch from this year. Wicked for Good. I did not watch The Life of Chuck, no. Wicked for Good is kind of weak sauce, if I'm going to be honest. It is something I liked it more than I thought I would, especially considering I wasn't crazy about the first Wicked. But it is kind of a huge downgrade in basically every way. The music's not as good. Michelle Yeoh is terrible in it. The direction is just as bad. Colors look terrible. It's muddy. It's weak. It's weak sauce. I think that's gonna do. I do have to add. I did not give Wicked for Good 4 stars. There's no shot I gave it 4 stars. I just can't take this tier list seriously. I don't see where the error is. This is a pretty respectable list. There are only 2 masterpieces this year, and it was One Battle and Marty Supreme. These are all great films. I'm glad all these movies exist. You can't deny these are movies to watch. These are weak sauce, and those should be left in 2025. Oh, you thought I was talking about The Code. No, The Code's great. Code is 4 stars. It's insane. You need to add things you kill? What does that mean? I did not see Companion. Let me add The Long Walk real quick because it's bugging me. I'm trying to think. I'm like, I feel like I'm missing so many movies. This makes me I'm glad I'm doing this because I'm realizing I need to add these to my, because I went off my Letterboxd list, and it makes me feel like these aren't on the Letterboxd list. I understand if The Mastermind is not your thing. I didn't know. Oh, The Things You Kill, the movie. I did not know. I did not see it. The Long Walk. The Long Walk is something to watch. It's interesting. I thought a little bit about The Long Walk in light of today's movie, Stand By Me, also a Stephen King adaptation. Similar structure, but we'll get into that in a second. That might sound like a stretch, but interesting movie next to Stand By Me, and a much weaker movie in my opinion. I think The Long Walk, interesting on paper, great performances by Cooper Hoffman and Daniel Johnson. Doesn't really, like, it's just doesn't really work as a movie in my opinion. It's painfully predictable, which is maybe not an issue for a lot of people because it makes up for it in the amount of heart that's in it. But I found it really obvious and a little too expected for me to care about what it was doing. I also think Mark Hamill is not very good in it. He's a little ridiculous. But I still like there's stuff I respect about The Long Walk. I think I obviously it's a very well acted movie, but I did not see SpongeBob. What's the most boring movie of the year? History of Sound, no question. History of Sound is melatonin in the form of film. Best broadcast film, Happiness. And on that note, I'm going to grab a snack and I'll be right back where we will be talking about Stand By Me. I'll be right back. We're back. Ooh, I needed that shortbread. Allow OBS to find devices on local networks? I guess, man. Why not? Why not? Ooh. All right, we are back. Unk Runk's New Year's resolution is to stop peeing. I don't think that would end well. My dad got a kick out of Tyler Creator saying that's how you get a bladder infection in Marty Supreme. He laughed very hard at that. And nothing else. We're back. Okay, we're going to talk about Stand By Me. We'll talk about Stand By Me, and then we may play some Cine 2 Nerdle or some GeoGuessr. Who's to say? But before we get into that, we need to list out next week's nominated films for the Film Club movie. I'm out of ideas. I know we have the fall, so I may put the fall in, but I kind of want to open it up to the chat, see what people are feeling, see what people would put in, bring back public votes. I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about rearranging the perks, but that's not for today. So I apologize. But yeah, I'm opening up to chat. I would love to see some ideas that haven't been recommended already. I know that there's people that want Titan AE. We want Brazil. I would put in Brazil. Top Secret, Lion, Homebound. Sometimes I think about Dying. Underrated 2020. Is that the one with what's her name? Daisy Ridley? Is that her name? Fun fact about that movie. I was going to see it at Sundance, and it was a case. This has never happened to me before. We got to the very front of the line, and they cut us off right there. Like we were 2 people away from getting like. I've always, every time I'm like waiting in line for something, I'm like, well, the odds of us being the ones that they cut off is pretty unlikely. We're obviously going to get in, and then it happened there, and I never end up seeing it. But I'd be open to that. Girl Interrupted, 12 Angry Men, The Others with Nicole Kidman, Sorcerer, Strange Days. To Be or Not to Be. I'm gonna put in To Be or Not to Be. Okay, let's start it up. Kind of a crazy film club movie. Let's see here. Cinema Paradiso, Pink Flamingos, Strange Days. Strange Days, is that the Catherine Bigelow movie? Babette's Feast, dude. I was recommended on that Yosemite retreat I went on to watch Babette's Feast. I've heard it's insane. For a few dollars more. I'm gonna put in The Fall, because I think we're due for it. Fall 2006. I'm going to put in Brazil. I'm going to put in To Be or Not to Be. And then Dark Waters would go crazy. It would, actually. I kind of like the Dark Waters suggestion, to be honest. Kind of leaning that. I'm gonna do Dark Waters. I like this lineup. The Fall, Brazil, or Red Rooms. How do we feel about Red Rooms? That's a newer release. Now you got me on Strange Days, to be honest. I'm gonna put in Strange Days in place of Brazil. I'm sorry. That sounds like an interesting watch. I'm locking it in. The Fall, Strange Days, To Be or Not to Be, Dark Waters. That's what we're going for next week. This will be a poll available for all channel members on the community tab on this channel. Whoever wins by the end of the stream will be next week's movie. Lock it in. All right. In the meantime, we're going to talk about this week's movie, which is Stand By Me, directed by Rob Reiner from 1986. This was voted on pretty much by a landslide last week from what I remember. I'm very glad it got voted on. It's one of the few Rob Reiner classics I have not seen. It's one of the most beloved films of all time. To many, it's a classic. And the synopsis reads, after learning that a stranger has been accidentally killed near their rural homes, 4 Oregon boys decide to go see the body. On the way, Gordy, Vern, Chris, and Teddy encounter a mean junk man and a marsh full of leeches, as they also learn more about one another and their very different home lives. Just a lark at first, the boys' adventure evolves into a defining event in their lives. I've known about this film for a while. Obviously. It's one of the most famous movies of all time. I only like semi-recently learned what it was about, and when I learned it was about a bunch of kids going to find a dead body, I was like, that's crazy, first of all. That's very dark. And I was also like, how would that work as a film? It's not a movie I ever... I never really was like itching to check it out because it didn't really seem like my kind of thing. I'm not typically crazy about... I mean, look, I wasn't even crazy about The Long Walk, which is like a similar movie in that it's just a bunch of boys walking, which is kind of what this is, and coming to terms with like their own mortality at a young age. That one's a very intense movie versus this is like relatively laid back. Also, Lau Taromada, thank you for the membership. Appreciate you. I apologize if I butchered that name. But yeah, I was always just kind of like, that doesn't really seem like it's A, going to work as a movie, or B, is going to be my thing. That is obviously incredibly silly because this was an incredible watch. I really liked this movie a lot more than I thought I was going to. We're going to talk about it. It was nominated only for Best Adapted Screenplay. It did not win that year. It was a huge success, though. It was made on an $8 million budget and then ended up making $52 million. It was a huge hit. It was a classic, started out in a very limited amount of theaters, expanded until it was just a huge kind of cultural thing. Nowadays, it's regarded as a classic, one of Rob Reiner's most well-respected films, one of his best performing films. It came in a hot streak. It was one of his earlier movies as well, which I didn't know. This is his I actually don't know. All I know is this came after This Is Spinal Tap. I think it went This Is Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, When Harry Met Sally. No, The Princess Bride. Harry Met Sally, then Misery, and then A Few Good Men. I get lost up there. But point is, this is one of his earlier films. He obviously he didn't start as a director. He'd been an actor for many years. But yeah, it was a hit. It was a hit. He clearly knows what he's doing. I'm curious. I was thinking a lot during this because I would say, maybe you guys disagree. I'm opening this up as a question, but like, I don't know if Rob Reiner has like a distinct style, yet there's like something very reliable about his filmmaking. I know this is like speaking very specifically about this streak that he had, but like this movie, Misery, When Harry Met Sally, Princess Bride, Spinal Tap, they all have like this very like tight, reliable, appealing thing about them. It's kind of cozy, yeah. It's like, the way I was thinking about it, I was like, if he has a style, it feels like movies that are designed to appeal to the masses, yet they're not really crowd pleasers. Like, they all have like kind of, I don't want to say intense, but like a dark quality to them. And on top of that, he's just very good at blending comedy and drama. Like, he's one of the masters at that. And you see it in all of his movies. Like, Misery is very funny, but it's also a nightmare. When Harry Met Sally, the sad moments are just as good as the comedy. Princess Bride has moments that are like surprisingly dramatic for what is a very goofy movie. And this movie too, which is like, off the synopsis, you're like, that's a bummer. That's a very intense watch. But like, think about the lard ass sequence. It's ridiculous. Which I'll talk about in a second. That was one of my favorite parts of the movie, and it felt very out of place, but also looking back at it as a whole piece feels very essential, which some people might disagree on. Very American's a good way of putting it. Yes. The point is, I feel like that really comes alive here. Because it's like you could argue that his style works really well in his other movies because the story is just so like Harry Met Sally. It's a reliable formula. Princess Bride, also a reliable fantasy formula. Spinal Tap, it's a mockumentary. Here, it's like it's a movie that really shouldn't work as well narratively as it does, but clearly it's proof that he knows what he's doing. Part of that I feel like is his ability to blend tones. I feel like the tone of this film is very strong. I love how it feels very, and this is partly due to like the very glowy kind of pasty cinematography. I don't know how else to describe it, but like pasty cinematography gives it a very nostalgic memory feel. Like it feels like you're watching a memory and like everything is kind of in a haze, which sounds gimmicky on paper but really works. I think this thing looks amazing. I love the soundtrack. This thing is full of very popular songs from the 50s and 60s, songs that honestly have been like played out to death in all of film. I mean, I feel like you've heard all of these needle drops before. Honestly, you've been hearing a lot of them in Stranger Things, even though it doesn't even take place in the 50s or 60s. But and I'll talk about the song Stand By Me, but they work really well here. They feel like they authentically come in as like parts of a memory, and like it reads very much like it's a soundtrack to these kids' lives and like to the time. They don't feel like they're trying to, and this is a big part of his appeal as a filmmaker. They don't feel like they're trying to draw attention to like a montage or an edit. They're not like edited to the film by any means. They're just kind of like there in the background and they kind of phase in and out. And I really love that about it. I talked about this in the last stream, how there was an interview of him talking about his least favorite shot in Princess Bride, which is the shot where the lens flare pops up in like this sweeping wide of like a horse running across the hill or something. And he said he hates it because like the lens flare draws attention to the fact that it's being filmed, that there's a camera. Which is like, I know I've already brought this up on stream, but I just find that approach and philosophy so interesting and so essential to what makes his work what it is that like he's so not concerned with the technical aspects of his films or having them come off, necessarily beautiful or cinematic. It's like he's just completely trying to absorb you in a perspective or a point of view or a world. And yeah, that's very much, you see that here as well, even with the use of music. He's an incredibly like careful and restrained director. Like he never overdoes it in anything, whether it be the edit, the camera work, the sound. I love how the ending of this film is very silent in what is a pretty noisy movie. It feels like he really strips it back for that last scene, which I won't spoil for anyone who hasn't seen it, but is just an absolute, I mean, it just destroys you, man. It's like the final, it's just final gut punch. But yeah, kind of haven't talked about the performances here. If you didn't know, it's pretty much all child performances. I mean, there's like kids and then there's like the teens. Are they teenagers or how old are that older group? I was slightly lost on that. They looked older, but the fact that Ace's cronies kind of fall apart after a kid younger than them stands up to Ace is beautiful. Yeah. And that's like a scene that could be like really corny, but is obviously like, I think the fact, and that it ties into the lard ass story in a way that feels very much like a foreshadowing of like what's to come, of like standing up against the bullies in a way that is just really satisfying to watch. It's a theme throughout a lot of, I feel like, Stephen King's work. He's very good at that outsmarting aspect in his characters. But yeah, the cast is very good here. It's River Phoenix, Will Wheaton, Corey Feldman, which, and Jerry O'Connell. The standouts are obviously River Phoenix and Will Wheaton, who I know everybody talks about River Phoenix. We will talk about River Phoenix in a second, but I thought Will Wheaton was amazing. I thought that it's like some of the best child acting I've ever seen. Specifically, just the way he breaks down in one of these scenes. Corey Feldman, the musician. It's just heartbreaking. It felt so real. It was like, I'm like, that's, I don't know, man. I was just fully believed it. I'm like, that's how I used to cry as a kid. It was just so hard to watch. But yeah, I thought that the child performances all across the board were just phenomenal. Corey Feldman was good, all of that said. I've never seen, because he was in the Goonies, right? Which I've never seen. I've never seen the Goonies. These aren't movies that like I grew up on. These are not my kinds of things. And I know that I feel like those two movies go hand in hand. But he was good, man. I mean, he plays like kind of the snotty, like, comic relief here, and I think he plays him like perfectly. Gosh, what the? I knew as soon as I said that it would just. I was like, I can't say this out loud right now. Canceling my subscription. Oscar guy, thank you for the membership. Appreciate it. I like the little doodle in your profile picture. It's also so, I did not plan this intentionally, but it's very interesting seeing this next to Stranger Things, which I've been watching this week. And, obviously very different. They're not after the same thing at all, but it is kind of both movies where it's like a group of children navigating a situation that they are not, I guess, equipped for quite yet. But that's like kind of the whole point. Just seeing a movie that is literally, I think this thing is like 85 minutes or something ridiculous. Children and Bikes, exactly. But just like seeing it just mog Stranger Things so hard in like how much depth it's able to bring out of just 80 minutes, where Stranger Things takes like 5 hours a season to like get Steve to open up. It's like, what are we doing? Obviously they're after completely different things, so it's not right to compare the two. But it was just very refreshing to see something like this on a week like this, where I've been watching so much Stranger Things and seeing like really good, really authentic child performances where I believe them every step of the way, and where it feels like they're actually, there's something really odd about like a coming of age film starring kids who are in the film coming of like, it's odd to think about the fact that like some of these kids were probably like experiencing some of this real time while filming the film. I don't know. I thought it was really, I just believed what was on screen so hard. Yeah, the scene where Chris breaks down, I could be wrong, I could be getting it mixed up with Will, but I heard that scene, he was like, he broke down so hard that like Rob Reiner came in and like had to like comfort him, and it was like a very tender moment on set. I could be misremembering, but I mean, it just breaks your heart. Just breaks your heart, doesn't it? Did you cry? I cried hard. I did not cry. I felt it in the end. I felt it there's a very specific line. It's like an iconic line. I'd never heard it before because I'd never seen this movie and I've never seen it referenced before. But the final line of this film is not Chris. What's Will's character's name? Gordy. Like later on in life, there's the voiceover where he says, "I never had any friends later on like the ones I had when I was 12. Jesus, does anyone?" And I was just like, Jesus Christ, man. There's like the most, it's such a true line. Like it's so, like it's just so true. And heartbreaking. And not like, there's friends that you like keep around longer than that, but there's something about the friends you have when you're coming of age that feel, that's the most powerful connection, because it's like you're both growing at the same time, and it's like, I don't know. I was really touched by the ending. Especially, I mean, we're not going to get into that just yet, but apparently when Reiner got a script, he first looked for himself in the characters and approached it that way, maybe why they feel so emotional and resonant. I mean, I believe that. Yeah. I mean, when did Rob Reiner, when was he a kid? Because, was he pulling a lot of his own nostalgia into this, with the music and whatnot? That's probably a dumb question. The passing of time and realization that some of the best friends will move on from being around you is so real. Yes. Yeah, that's it's very odd. I feel like I speak for pretty much everyone when it's like you have these incredibly formative, sometimes traumatic experiences with people when you're a kid, and it's like you just will never see them or talk to them again. He was a 50s kid. Well, it all makes sense. Yeah, that's a really unique and sad feeling that I think a lot of people, myself included, are very touched by, and it's hard to communicate that in a movie, let alone make a movie that's all about that feeling. But that's really what this is. I was gonna say, I think the one thing I wish was different about it, if I had anything that I wish was different, I feel like the discovery of the dead body, I wish was a bit more. I wish it was more intense, even though I think it's the fact that it's kind of restrained and kind of very plain is the point, is that it just happens. And then a lot of the drama from that scene comes from the confrontation between the groups. But, yeah, I find that that sense of a kid seeing a dead body for the first time is such a disturbing idea and image, and I feel like it kind of gets there, but I wish it was, if there was any place where I wish he would have gone a little bit harder with the direction, it was that. But that's a nitpick at the end of the day. Yeah, I was gonna say the movie Elephant in the Room, it's a very eerie movie to watch. Has a very, very dark energy, despite it being kind of a charming, child coming of age film with a lot of lighthearted humor. There's the fact that River Phoenix died 7 years after this, very young. And then there's obviously the fact that Rob Reiner died from a stabbing, which is how Chris dies in the film. It's there's when that happened, at the very top of the film, that's one of the first lines of the film. I was like, what the fuck? What is happening? It's a really bizarre film to watch in light of everything that's happened. And I'm very curious to see how I would have responded to it before, the situation and all that. But I can't speak on that. I've only seen it the way I have. But yeah, it adds a very kind of spiritual and haunting atmosphere to the whole thing. That I don't know, really fucked me up, to be honest. I didn't, especially how it loops back around to it by the end of the film, and how much it has to say about death feels so mature and profound, and it's just tragic. But anyway, for that reason, I'm I think even though Rob Reiner makes such accessible and not crowd pleasing, but I don't know, charming and cozy films, you could argue that this is cozy, but this feels like his most emotionally devastating thing he's directed. I mean, in my opinion, from what I've seen. Even if like darker things have happened in films like Misery, I'm like, this is, I don't know, man. This was very weird. It was a really kind of powerful watch. It is my favorite coming of age film, dude. I know we spoke on this last stream, but it is crazy how he just like dominated all these genres. Because obviously, like Princess Bride, he nailed the fantasy movie, he nailed the rom-com, he nailed the horror, and then here it's like this is one of the most, this is like the definitive coming of age movie. Like, it's like the blueprint. I feel like trying to think of coming of age films that felt like this before Stand By Me. It's like there just wasn't. It has such it became the blueprint for so many films. But yeah. So all the praise, why no 5 stars? It's a good question. It's one of those things where if you know it's a 5-star, you know it is. There was something, I feel like I need to give it another watch. It felt, again, honestly, a big part of it is that it felt like I watched this at both the perfect and worst time because of everything that happened. I'm like, it was very hard not to bring in a lot of my own, I don't know, thoughts and like experiences into this. Especially knowing, like just knowing what happened to him. It makes it a much more, I think it makes some of the lighthearted stuff feel a bit distracting and a bit maybe not as like charming as they're supposed to come off had it been a much pure experience. But that's kind of something great about it. I don't know. I need to sit with it some more. If you can't tell, it wasn't like an instant 5-star situation, even though the ending just immediately shot this up from being like a really good film to being like something very special. We are not going to watch The Goonies next week. But yeah. He's got his critic hat on. Anyway, I don't, as of now, I might leave it there. It's a tough one for me to unpack right now. I feel like I've kind of said as much as I feel I can say about it at the moment, but Kiefer was great. I wish there was more of him, honestly. I mean, maybe that's like not only just Kiefer, but I feel like I could have watched this for longer. Like I could have sat with this a bit longer than I did. Because there's a real rich world here amongst the characters, and I'm like, I feel like we only kind of scratched the surface of the group. But at the same time, it's like if it's functioning as a memory, it's like you're not really supposed to know more than you know about the people around you. So I do need to update the ranking on Letterboxd. No, the song is good. It's crazy. I've known the song my whole life, of course. It's an iconic song. I never knew that. I mean, it existed before this movie, but I will never listen to it the same way. This is one of those uses of music in a film that completely redefines the song. It was always a happy one, and now I'm gonna like fight back tears every time. I don't like. It's an interesting, like, I mean, the song is beautiful, of course, and the lyrics are great. It is interesting, like, trying to pick apart the Stand By Me meaning in a movie like this. It's an interesting title, but yeah, I liked it. I do think I'll like it more with time. I'm going to give it some time. I'm really glad we watched it, though. I mean, it felt... Honestly, it might have been a more lighthearted watch to see something like When Harry Met Sally or something, but this is like such a... I think it's... I don't know. Is this his best movie? This might be his best movie. As perfect as When Harry Met Sally is. I do have to watch more Indian films. I'll make that a goal for next year. It does feel like the most his and I haven't seen everything he's done. It feels like the most his voice comes out in his work is through this. I mean, it feels the most transparent. The others of his, I mean, they're kind of they're very silly, or they're like tied down by the constraints of their genres, which he kind of helped build, to be honest. But there will be a Stranger Things 5 video, yes. But yeah, really liked it. I gave it a 4.5, but I could see it bumping up to a 5 with some time. It was a very heavy experience. I'm not gonna lie, it was very powerful. But I'm glad I finally saw it. Let's check in on the poll real quick while we're here. It looks like it might just finally happen. The Fall is leading at 44%. Strange Days, 15%. To Be or Not to Be, 15%. Dark Waters, 26%. Could this be the week? Could this be the week we finally watch Fall? The Fall. It just might be. Okay. I was not aware we hit 3 hours already. I I don't know if I have time to play a game. To be honest with you, that we flew through this stream. I guess the 2025 movies tier list went by very fast, or it took up a lot of space. So we might have to call it soon, man. We might have to call it. Let me do the weekly boxed. John, are you here? Slash, could you, unless you did it already? Unkrunk, thank you for watching Stand By Me this week. Of course. Anything for you guys. Stand by while we look for the weekly boxed. If you're new here, I'll explain it. We every week pick a random Letterboxd account from the Discord, and we pull it up on stream, and we talk about it. We go over it. It's kind of a roast. It's not really, though. And I've been over that many times. People keep expecting roasts. But yeah, I say next week, in light of the new year, we roll out the call-in system. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna make sure that it's all running properly, just because I don't. It's all new territory for me. And in the meantime, you can also look forward to a couple list videos that'll be dropping on the second channel. I'll be talking about the most underrated movies of the year. I'll be talking about my favorite first watches of the year, movies that didn't come out in 2025, sorry. But that you got to re-roll, do you? I don't know if I'm going to do a worst movies of the year video. I was looking at the worst movies, and I'm just like, the reason I did it last year was because they were all like studio films, and I didn't feel bad about it. But I don't want to like, this is why I didn't do it in the past. I'm like, I don't want to do it to like random little indies. Oscar predictions? Not today. Make a movie poster to your list? That could be fun. I don't know where we would find how we would group them in, you know? From 2025 specifically, you think? Or movie tagline tier list? Oh, shit. Wait, this is a name I feel like I recognize. The Weekly Boxed this week is Toasty D1. Is it? Oh, I spelled it wrong. Toasty D1. Have we done this one before? Why do I feel like we've done this one? I'll do it regardless. I can't tell. It sounds familiar. I think we've done Toasty. I'm sorry. I think we gotta reroll one more time. I recognize the elephant profile picture. And they're from Finland. How many countries do you think you haven't seen a film from? Probably most countries. I'm trying to think. I want to say Malaysia. Probably not. But who's to say? I think most African countries. Who's to say? A lot of these films, like, they film in there and then they say it's like a Singapore production. Film from every country vid. I've thought about it. I think next week we'll go over the Letterboxd stats, by the way. I was going to do it this week, but apparently they have their own Wrapped, so I'm going to wait for that to come out. Jorma Pesto, I kid you, you have no idea. I literally was going to do that this year, Worldwide Wednesdays, and it was going to be called Worldwide Wednesdays. Like, I literally was going to name it exactly that, and it was going to be a new country each day or each week. Okay, we have one. And this one I do not recognize at all. This is Gel Cole. Jelcol. Jelcol is the Weekly Boxed. Transition. Here it is. Is this an AI? No. Sorry. There was something about the shadows here where I was like, is this what I think it is? I don't think it is. What's the call, chat? Are we? I can't tell. From the Netherlands, cinemagazine.nl. Gel Cole. Top 4 is Mulholland Drive, Moonrise Kingdom, and I Saw the TV Glow. If this is AI, this would be like the AI, like, make a film student's top 4. That's basically what this taste is giving. That's a bit harsh, but I'm convinced it's not AI for the record. It feels there's like a little detail in the texture. Oh, that's crazy. Anyway, 0.5 stars for Jingle Smells. 2.5 stars for Avatar Fire and Ash. Interesting. Cannot capture the magic of the first for Wake Up Dead Man. Kind of agree with you. I feel like they're never going to capture the magic of the first. This is an interesting profile. Let's check out your ratings. Let's look at your lists, actually. Movies that I reviewed for cinemagazine.nl. So you're a writer. You're actually I'm gonna say it's not AI. Or if it is, that'd be a huge issue, but I'm gonna safely assume it's not. Very cool though. Very cool that we actually got a proper writer over here. I like this poster trend that you have going on where you include the entire cast on the poster. I like it when people do that. It's very overwhelming. It's a lot of text going on, but very solid. This person doesn't play around with Letterboxd. This is pretty. Let's see your must see. Can't argue against any of these. I mean, it's a pretty safe profile so far. It's pretty indestructible. I don't really have much against this. Let's look at the half stars. Jingle Smells, A Law for Christmas, Last Airbender. I mean, yeah, they do play around with AI though. I don't know, man. I don't think this is AI. I'm not gonna throw them under the bus. I really can't tell. Regardless, I think we got to find a new profile picture. That's my one critique. Is I think we got to find a new one. Interesting though. Interesting. Let's look at the films you've vlogged this year. Any hot takes? Everything is pretty normal. 4.5 for Eternity. I haven't seen it, but that's a bit high. I don't know if Eternity's on the same level as One Battle, but who knows? I haven't seen it. The film reel looks off, man. Let's go back. Oh shit. You might be onto something actually. You might be on... Wait. Oh, dude, it's definitely. It's all coming together. Yeah. That might be AI. I don't want to make assumptions. But that you're right. The film reel, that's interesting. And the little, like, the way this white line runs off on his left shoulder. Well, Joe Cole, thank you for participating in the weekly box. Oh man. Okay. Let's wrap things up on that note. Let's check in on the poll. I think I know what it's going to be. I think it's finally going to be that week, unless there was a crazy change within the last 10 minutes. The Fall, 40%. Next week, we are watching The Fall 2006. It's finally happening. To specify, it is the one directed by... Not that there's many Falls from 2006. Directed by Tarsem Singh. Not familiar. Haven't seen any Tarsem Singh. Should be good. I've heard a lot of great things about this movie. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to call it. Thank you for coming out to the stream. Thanks for bearing with me through all this. Yeah, a little rusty today. Not the sharpest stream in the world. But I will see you guys next year, where we will be talking about The Fall 2006. Go check out my Best Movies of 2025 video if you haven't already. And I hope you guys have a fantastic and safe New Year's Eve. Yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. Mwah.